Chapter 411. A Genius Remembers Love in 1 Second? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Advancing from the 4th grade to the 5th grade was a watershed for cultivators. What they needed to do was to break through to the void inquiry stage. They needed to disperse their pill beads and then refine them again to make them complete. This stage was as important as advancing from the essence gathering realm to the core condensation realm. It was the most important stage in a cultivator's cultivation journey. After meditating for a while, Night Sorrow began his breakthrough. The first thing he needed to do was to disperse his pill beads. Night Sorrow controlled his true chi and began to grind the pill beads. He wanted to grind them into powder and then refine them again. If he succeeds, he would enter the void inquiry stage, which allowed him to fly in the sky. If he fails, he would lose all his cultivation base. All his cultivation base would return to the earth. As Night Sorrow's true chi vibrated, his pill beads became smaller and smaller. The true chi in his dantian also became more turbulent. 4 hours later, the pill beads in Night Sorrow's dantian disappeared and turned into surging gelatinous true chi. The first step was completed. Night Sorrow had completed the first step of breaking through to the void inquiry stage. He needed to grind his pill beads. Next, he needed to refine them again. It was time to refine them again. The true chi in Night Sorrow's dantian had already been refined to the extreme. It was all surging gelatinous true chi. If his control over the true chi in his dantian was weak, it would be easy for his true chi to go berserk and explode his dantian. Controlling the true chi in his dantian, Night Sorrow began to compress it towards the center of his dantian. As Night Sorrow continued to compress, the pill beads reappeared in the center of Night Sorrow's dantian. It was a purple pill beads. The 2nd grade essence gathering realm to the 3rd grade core condensation realm was an ordinary pill bead. The 4th grade spiritual clone would also refine a pill bead when he advanced to the void inquiry stage. However, it was different from the ordinary pill beads of the core condensation realm. The pill beads he was refining now were of different attributes. It was completely different from the pill beads refined by the core condensation realm. After the purple pill beads appeared, Night Sorrow poured his gelatinous true chi into them to strengthen them. Time slipped away bit by bit. The surging true chi in Night Sorrow's dantian became less and less, and the dan bead also became bigger and bigger. 2 hours. 4 hours. 6 hours later, all of the true energy in Night Sorrow's dantian region was gone. It was all sucked into the violet medicinal pearl. At the moment when the true chi in Night Sorrow's dantian completely entered the dan bead, Night Sorrow's dan bead started to automatically rotate, at the same time releasing a light purple-colored true chi. Rank 5. Void Inquiry Stage. At this moment, Night Sorrow's cultivation base entered the 5th level of the Void Inquiry Stage. Outside the tent, Ho Jian and Shui Ling could finally relax. They had been very worried about Night Sorrow. Love go little say ku among the people who entered the death space, the failure of the others would only affect one of them. If Night Sorrow failed, the whole team would be affected. Night Sorrow was now the soul of the team. With Night Sorrow around, everyone would have a backbone. After successfully breaking through, Night Sorrow began to stabilize his cultivation base. Ho Jian and Shui Ling arranged for the others to continue to rest because Night Sorrow also needed some time to stabilize his cultivation base. R, and only, 1/9L% I/9L all I is B Steel L version Y. Night Sorrow was experiencing the situation after entering the void inquiry stage. He realized that the true chi in his dantian was constantly rushing towards the top of his head. This was the true chi rushing towards the top of his head. The others had to take this opportunity to open up their divine sea. Night Sorrow's divine sea had already been opened, but he did not waste this opportunity to increase his true chi. He directly expanded his divine sea. After a while, Night Sorrow's divine sea had expanded by 1/3. However, it had also reached its limit. Since he could no longer expand his divine sea, Night Sorrow continued to stabilize his cultivation base. At noon, Night Sorrow came out of seclusion. He had completely stabilized his cultivation base at the 5th rank. Captain. Seeing Night Sorrow come out, the members of the blood-robed guards who were practicing and resting, as well as Ho Jian and the others, greeted him. My breakthrough was delayed for some time. Let's pack up and set off. Night Sorrow said. After the group took down the tents, they continued to move forward. When the dark creatures appeared, they would attack and kill them. The speed of their advance increased by a lot because everyone's strength had increased. Especially Night Sorrow, when he brandished his reincarnation spear, he could combine 5 spears into one. None of the dark creatures could withstand his attacks. Captain, your spear technique is too domineering. What spear technique is that? Lei Zheng, who was following beside Night Sorrow, asked. 7-star brilliant moon spear. I haven't mastered it yet. Night Sorrow said with a smile. You haven't mastered it yet? This is going to cost your life. Nan Liu lamented. She hadn't been able to take on Night Sorrow's spear technique. This fact made her realize that the gap between her and Night Sorrow hadn't closed just because she had advanced. Instead, the gap between the two of them had widened. During the night's rest, Night Sorrow upgraded his combat skills. First, he upgraded his movement technique. He upgraded the Soaring Dragon Steps to the Soaring Dragon Steps. The Soaring Dragon Steps wasn't just used for ground combat. It could also be used for aerial combat. While the others were resting, Night Sorrow cultivated his movement technique and combat skills. Not only did he upgrade his movement technique, but he also upgraded his Covering Sky hand and upgraded the Energy Destroying hand to the Earth Shaking hand. While Night Sorrow cultivated, Ho Jian, Lei Bao, Lei Zheng and Nan Liu drank tea. The Blood Strike guards camped on the other side. After all, the two groups weren't of the same order. One group belonged to Tianji Tower, while the other came from the City Lord's mansion. Ordinary cultivators would feel reverence or fear when they saw the people from the Empyrean Terminus Tower. However, this didn't apply to the Blood Strike guards. They were all prideful and had undergone strict training at the City Lord's mansion. Not only had they strengthened their cultivation, but they had also strengthened their minds. Ho Jian shook his head as he watched Night Sorrow cultivate. After we advanced, our combat strength increased a lot. However, it's definitely not as abnormal as his. Mid-stage 5th order cultivation isn't necessarily his match. Perhaps only late-stage 5th order cultivators can suppress him. Ho Jian said. Yes, there's no need to be jealous. Look at how he cultivates. The effort he puts in is completely different, Lei Bao said. Night Sorrow cultivated all his combat skills once before going to Ho Jian's side to drink tea. Captain, your strength has increased a lot again, Lei Bao said. I still have tranquility pills here. Do you need them? Night Sorrow saw that Lei Bao and Lei Zheng's cultivation had increased to the 7th stage of the Spirit Severing stage. We have tranquility pills. We plan to stabilize our cultivation first before eating them, Lei Bao said. I'm also an alchemist. I can refine pills. If you have any needs, just tell me, Night Sorrow said after taking a sip of tea. Captain, what kind of pills can you refine? Nan Liu asked curiously. I can refine pills below 5th order. I haven't tried refining pills above 5th order yet. I need to practice, Night Sorrow said after thinking for a while. Too shameless. I found that there's nothing Captain can't do, Lei Zheng said while shaking his head. Our Medicine Valley is a sect that specializes in alchemy. There's nothing strange about me being able to refine pills, right? Night Sorrow still had one thing that he didn't mention, and that was that the Medicine Valley's refining standards weren't low either. After advancing, Night Sorrow found that the Reincarnation Spear could withstand 5th order true Qi. This proved that the Reincarnation Spear was a 5th order weapon. This also made Night Sorrow extremely happy because he didn't have to consider changing weapons. Changing weapons was a very troublesome matter. The most important thing was that Night Sorrow had a very deep relationship with the Reincarnation Spear. Chapter 412. A genius remembers love in 1 second? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. That's true. In the future, not only will you be a cultivation expert, but you'll also be an alchemy grandmaster. Nan Liu said with some emotion. Don't be so emotional. In the future, if you want to refine any pills, I can refine them without a problem. Night Sorrow said with a smile. It's a great thing to know an alchemy grandmaster. Nan Liu nodded with a smile. After chatting for a while, Night Sorrow returned to his own tent to meditate and cultivate. He did not consume any spiritual essence of origin. His quintessential qi cultivation had just advanced, so he had to prioritize stability. He was now cultivating with the ice spirit blood essence in his hands. He wanted to speed up the cultivation of the Myriad Tao Treasured Tome. He wanted to raise the cultivation level of the Myriad Tao Treasured Tome to the 5th tier and to the Tao Seeking Realm. As for the Tao Querying Realm required for the Myriad Tao Treasured Tome, Night Sorrow had no idea. He intended to reach the Tao Querying Realm first. After a night of cultivation, the group continued on their journey. Night Sorrow was at the front, and whenever he saw any dark creatures, he would shoot them 5 times with his spear, killing them instantly. Captain, you should go to the back. If you do this, we won't even have a chance to practice our combat skills, Xueling said. That's what I'm thinking too. You can kill at the front, and we'll be fine at the back. So, Captain, you should rest at the back. If there's someone we can't handle, you'll go up. Ho Jian opened his mouth and said. You're reading on novel full thanks, Ho Jian said. All right. You guys lead the way, I'll bring up the rear, Night Sorrow said with a smile. Then, Xueling and Ho Jian took the lead while Night Sorrow followed behind. With nothing else to do, Night Sorrow let Tianyu out for some fresh air. At this time, Tianyu was already at the peak of rank 4, level 6. His beak, claws, and feathers were all glowing with light. He was very handsome. Seeing Night Sorrow's mount, the Bloodstrike guards were envious. Their mounts were blood pheasant eagles. Everyone had the same mount. This kind of mount could be developed to the peak of tier 4 and was raised by Dongxian City's City Lord Manor. Over the next few days, everything was quiet. They had also advanced 1,000 miles, so Night Sorrow had no chance to make a move. Baidu search AI go female sign shao say www.aichuxs. After setting up camp again, Night Sorrow fed Tianyu a beast pill. Currently, the beast vitality pill was of no help to Tianyu's cultivation. It was only able to solve the problem of his diet. After settling Tianyu's issue, Night Sorrow went back to his tent to cultivate. Ho Jian and the others, as well as the Bloodstrike Guard, admired his diligence the most. After entering the death space, Night Sorrow spent almost all of his energy on cultivation. In the middle of the night, Night Sorrow woke up with a start. His intuition had instinctively sensed danger. Be on guard. Night Sorrow roared as he rushed out of his tent. Following Night Sorrow's roar, Ho Jian and the others, as well as the Bloodstrike Guard, gathered together and prepared for battle. Suddenly, a black shadow appeared in the sky. Thanks to the moonlight, everyone could clearly see that it was a humanoid shadow with a tail behind it. It was a humanoid demonic beast. A humanoid demonic beast whose cultivation base couldn't be seen clearly. Normally, demonic beasts that entered the Tier 6 Clear Sky realm, which was the Venerate realm, would be able to take on a humanoid form. However, some demonic beasts chose to take on a humanoid form after entering the Tier 5 Clear Sky realm. Everyone retreat. After giving the order, Night Sorrow rushed forward to the front of the group. The humanoid dark demonic beast landed not too far away from Night Sorrow and the others. Tier 5 cultivators and demonic beasts could fight in the air. However, there was no ground beneath their feet, so it wasn't as convenient as fighting on the ground. Thanks to the moonlight, Night Sorrow could see that the humanoid demonic beast's tail was as thick as a human head and had reflective scales on it. This proved that this humanoid demonic beast was a serpent-type demonic beast. While Night Sorrow was sizing up this fellow, the dark serpent charged at Night Sorrow. Its scaled fists were aimed directly at Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow pondered for a moment. Then, his true chi and the myriad Tao Tome's energy erupted and he blasted out a breaking killing fist at the Dark Serpent. Since he couldn't see the Dark Serpent's cultivation base, he wanted to test this fellow's strength and decide on a battle strategy. Bang! With a loud explosion, Night Sorrow's body was sent flying by the impact. His right arm trembled uncontrollably, while the Dark Serpent only took 2 steps back. You can't fight it. This fellow's cultivation base is above the mid-5th stage. Retreat. Either you leave this space or go to the entrance of the space tunnel to investigate. Night Sorrow roared and charged at the Dark Serpent. This time, Night Sorrow took out his reincarnation spear and executed the 7-star dazzling moon spear to the extreme. He attacked the Dark Serpent. Captain, let's try again. Xue Ling and the others weren't willing to leave Night Sorrow behind and retreat. They immediately stepped forward and attacked the Dark Serpent. However, the effect was different from Night Sorrow's. Night Sorrow could still fight, but they were all sent flying by the Dark Serpent's attacks. The blood-robed guards, Ho Jian, and the others couldn't break through the Dark Serpent's protective shield. The Dark Serpent didn't care about the attacks. Its palms turned into sharp claws and attacked Ho Jian, Xue Yi, and the others. After a while, 7 or 8 people were injured. Ho Jian, Xue Ling, take the others and retreat. This is an order. Night Sorrow roared. He waved his reincarnation spear and pushed it in front of the Dark Serpent, giving the others a chance to retreat. Tianyu, which Night Sorrow didn't put away, also pounced at the Dark Serpent. This was the Dark Serpent's innate talent. It wasn't afraid of demonic beasts of a higher level than itself. No matter how high its level was, it wouldn't be able to suppress it. It could fight. This guy's cultivation must be at the late stage of the 5th rank. What will you do if we retreat? Nan Liu shouted. What can I do? Of course I'll run. You guys hurry up and retreat. I'll be exhausted later and won't be able to escape even if I want to. Stop talking nonsense and retreat quickly. Night Sorrow was a little anxious. The Dark Serpent's ability was too strong. Every time it attacked, there was a violent sound of energy breaking through the air. Captain, be careful. Ho Jian, the others, and the blood-robed guards shouted to Night Sorrow and began to retreat. The team will be led by Xue Ling and Ho Jian. You two communicate. Night Sorrow gave another order. *L original P/version V initial L release 7 Night Sorrow circled around the dark python and quickly shot out his spear, entangling the dark python and preventing it from attacking or chasing others. Ho Jian's group and the Blood Strike guards quickly disappeared into the night. At this moment, Night Sorrow decided to run. He knew that he had no chance of defeating this dark flood serpent. The difference between them was too great. The best solution was to run. It was reckless and irrational to continue fighting even if one couldn't win. After shouting at Tianyu to take off, Night Sorrow fired a powerful shot at the dark serpent. Bang! With a muffled sound, Night Sorrow was forced back. Taking advantage of the distance, Night Sorrow used his innate skill, Space Rend, to slash at the dark serpent. Then, he flew and grabbed Tianyu's sharp claws with his left hand. He then put away his reincarnation spear and shot the ice serpent's sky-piercing spear at the dark serpent, forcing it to retreat. Night Sorrow planned to use Tianyu's speed to escape. Cultivators and demonic beasts that had reached the 5th rank could fly. However, there were differences in speed. Demonic beasts that couldn't fly wouldn't necessarily be as fast as 4th rank flying demonic beasts even if they reached the 5th rank. This was an innate skill. Chapter 413. Genius remembers love in 1 second/small. We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Night Sorrow grabbed Tianyu's claws with his left hand and the sky-piercing spear with the ice serpent's tendon in his right hand. He was waiting for an opportunity to attack. After the first attack, the distance between him and the dark serpent was a bit too far. It wasn't that Night Sorrow's sky-piercing spear couldn't hit the dark serpent. If the ice serpent's tendon wasn't tied, then Night Sorrow's sky-piercing spear could shoot very far and cause a lot of damage. However, he wouldn't be able to get it back. Night Sorrow didn't want to lose the sky-piercing spear. Plus, there wasn't much danger right now. This dark serpent was very strong, but there was still a big gap between it and the half-step Venerable Realm Dark Zombie. The distance and strength of its energy attack couldn't threaten Tianyu and Night Sorrow. Seeing that the distance was safe, Night Sorrow exerted force with his left arm. His body drew a semicircle and landed on Tianyu's back. Standing on Tianyu's back and looking at the dark serpent, Night Sorrow felt relieved. The dark serpent wasn't fast enough to catch up to Tianyu. "Tianyu, let's circle around it." After observing for a while, Night Sorrow realized that the dark serpent's speed was indeed its weakness. Since it couldn't catch up to Tianyu, then it could rely on speed. Hearing Night Sorrow's order, Tianyu began to fly in circles. Night Sorrow took the opportunity to shoot the sky-piercing spear at the dark serpent. 2 sky-piercing spears with ice serpent's tendons weren't enough. Night Sorrow took out his remaining 3 ice serpent's tendons and tied them to his left arm. He shot them at Night Sorrow, who was chasing Tianyu. He wanted to use up the dark serpent's energy shield. The dark serpent's speed was not as fast as Tianyu's, so it could only fall behind and take a beating. This made it roar angrily. In its eyes, Night Sorrow and Tianyu were just small fries, but now it was being beaten up. The enraged dark serpent began to wildly unleash energy attacks. However, the effects weren't great. Under Night Sorrow's command, Tianyu's body was extremely nimble. The dark serpent's energy attacks couldn't reach Tianyu. Look at the L version, Chapter R on why. This was a situation that Night Sorrow was happy to see. The dark serpent had expended a lot of energy by using such a powerful attack. As for his and Tianyu's consumption, Night Sorrow wasn't worried at all. He had the spiritual elixir of origin and was rich. The problem of consumption didn't exist for Night Sorrow. Tianyu flew in circles while Night Sorrow threw the sky-piercing spear continuously to attack the dark serpent's protective barrier. After an hour, Night Sorrow gave Tianyu a drop of spiritual elixir of origin so that Tianyu was in peak condition. He also took a drop himself. He had been using all kinds of energy techniques to throw the sky-piercing spear to wear down the dark serpent's protective barrier. His consumption wasn't small either. Baidu search AI go xiao shua www.ai2x. While Night Sorrow and Tianyu had expended a lot of energy, the dark serpent wasn't much better off. Its protective barrier was already shaking, and more than half of its abundant true qi had been used up. Night Sorrow's sky-piercing spear, which carried a spiraling force, shattered the dark serpent's protective barrier. Seeing the dark serpent's protective barrier shatter, Night Sorrow's hands shook, and the sky-piercing spear began to throw continuously. Compared to the beginning of the battle of attrition, the attack speed and power had increased. Baidu search AI go xiao shua www.ai2x. Come in the beginning, it was a battle of attrition. Now, it was a battle of attrition. Night Sorrow's strategy was naturally different. The dark serpent's temper was extremely bad. It waved its claws to block the sky-piercing spears. As it waved its arms, the sky-piercing spears were all sent flying. However, its arms were left with many bloody wounds from the sky-piercing spears. After a while, the scales on the dark serpent's arms disappeared, and in some places, white bones were exposed. The battle raged. Night Sorrow inserted the 5 sky-piercing spears with ice serpent tendons into his waist and leaped towards the dark serpent. The dark serpent's energy was almost depleted, but Night Sorrow was not afraid. He directly leaped from Tianyu's back and charged towards the dark serpent. At the same time, his true qi exploded as he used the 7-star brilliant moon spear. At this moment, if he could not win, Night Sorrow could also shoot the bone-rotting poison needles. When the dark serpent had its protective barrier, the poison needles were ineffective. Now, the dark serpent's protective barrier had been shattered. Seeing Night Sorrow fighting in close combat, the dark serpent roared and raised its right claw, slapping towards Night Sorrow's reincarnation spear. Creak. Night Sorrow was forced back, but the dark serpent was not in a good state either. The scales in the center of its claw were shaken off, and there was a large bloody hole in its claw. After succeeding in one move, Night Sorrow endured the recoil and continued to charge towards the dark serpent. The man and the beast began to fight head-on. Night Sorrow's cultivation was low, but he was currently at his peak. The dark serpent's cultivation was high, but it had consumed a lot of energy. It could only display 30% to 40% of its strength. After a series of explosions, Night Sorrow's forehead was covered in sweat, and his arms were trembling uncontrollably. The dark serpent was in an even worse state. Its arms were already badly mutilated. If it was not for its innate talent and strong body, its arms would have been cut off. Feeling that he had consumed a lot of energy, Night Sorrow flew back to Tianyu's back and took another drop of Origin spiritual liquid to recover. Tianyu flew around the dark serpent and took the opportunity to attack. A moment later, Night Sorrow had recovered to his peak state. Taking a deep breath, Night Sorrow jumped up from Tianyu's back and charged towards the dark serpent again. This was a battle of attrition. Tianyu was fast and was already in an undefeatable position. Night Sorrow had nothing to worry about and gave up on shooting the poison needles. The sky was already bright. Even if they fought until nightfall, Night Sorrow would be able to hold on. This time, Night Sorrow finally had some results. In close combat, Night Sorrow used the earth-shaking hand and knocked away the dark serpent's left claw. However, Night Sorrow was also forced back, and the blood in his chest became unstable. When Night Sorrow returned to Tianyu's back and was about to rest, the dark serpent began to run. It had a violent temperament, but at this point in the battle, it knew that it would not have a good ending if it continued. Run? After fighting for half the night, how could Night Sorrow let it run away? Wouldn't that be a waste of time? Night Sorrow rode Tianyu and began to give chase. The sky-piercing spear was constantly shot at the dark serpent. At this time, about 200 miles away from Night Sorrow, the Blood Strike Guards and Ho Jian were deep in thought. Vice Captain, we can't lose the captain, right? What face do we have left? Xue Fei said. What do you guys plan to do? Xue Ling asked Ho Jian. The dark serpent is very strong, but it shouldn't be a problem for the captain to retreat. I'm just worried that the captain won't be able to find us, Ho Jian said. Let's go and take a look. Just waiting like this makes me feel uneasy. I regret listening to him and retreating. That was too disloyal, Lei Bao said regretfully. It's not your fault. Following orders is the most important thing in a team battle. Let's go and take a look, Ho Jian said. Chapter 4:14. Genius 1 second. Remember love go/little. We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Demonic beasts had strong bodies, and a starving camel was still bigger than a horse. Although the dark serpent didn't have a protective shield, it still had some protective energy. Night Sorrow couldn't deal a fatal blow to it. Night Sorrow's crisis had been completely resolved. The dark serpent had lost half of its arm and claws, so it didn't have much strength to fight back. Moreover, it was already scared of Night Sorrow, so it just ran away. It didn't have any intention of fighting back. Night Sorrow and Tianyu took charge and chased after the dark serpent. The dark serpent was running away, getting further and further away from the original battlefield. After an hour, the dark serpent was hundreds of miles away. It just kept running and didn't choose a direction. At this moment, the Blood Strike Guards and Ho Jian's group of 4 had returned to the place where they had encountered the dark serpent. Stupid. Section AQ above C. Why is the ground covered in blood? Where is the captain? Lei Bao's eyes turned red when he saw the blood on the ground. Why are you in such a hurry? Calm down. The smell of blood is very strong, and there are also broken scales. This proves that the injured dark serpent isn't the captain, Nan Liue yelled at Lei Bao. Yes, the battle was very intense. There are no corpses here. It seems like there was a chase, and the victor was the captain, Xue Ling said after surveying the battlefield. That's good. If anything happened to the captain, I would never be able to forgive myself, Lei Bao said. Let's wait here, Xue Ling said. Knight Sorrow rode on Tianyu and chased after the dark serpent, constantly attacking it. The dark serpent was running for its life, so its potential was revealed. Even though its back was almost pierced by the sky-piercing spear, it didn't stop. Knight Sorrow felt that something was wrong. The direction the dark serpent was running in was very rich with dark energy, or rather, death energy. In such an environment, it was easy for other heaven-defying dark creatures to be born. Knight Sorrow was worried, so he decided to end the battle quickly. He controlled Tianyu to increase his speed and overtook the dark serpent. He then jumped off Tianyu's body and waved his reincarnation spear. The reincarnation spear was imbued with vibrational force. The dark flood dragon snake swung its right claw towards the reincarnation spear. Wang! A strong vibrating sound was heard. Knight Sorrow's reincarnation spear exploded with vibrating energy, shaking off the dark dragon snake's right claw. Then, Knight Sorrow raised his hand, and the reincarnation spear pierced into the dark dragon snake's neck. Next, he swung his hands horizontally and chopped off the dark dragon snake's head. After ending the battle, Knight Sorrow opened up the dark serpent's abdomen and collected the core. The cores and cores of demonic beasts and cultivators were usually in the abdomen or head. Knight Sorrow felt that the dark dragon snake's energy source was in its abdomen, so he was sure that the dark dragon snake's core was in its abdomen. Knight Sorrow then cut off the dark dragon snake's tail and right claw. These were all treasures. There were also 2 night luminescent pearls, which also had the effect of detoxification. After collecting these, Knight Sorrow began to survey the area in front of him. The death energy ahead was very dense, but Knight Sorrow felt that there was something in this death energy that was attracting him. Knight Sorrow fed Tianyu a drop of spiritual liquid and let it rest in the beast-taming space. He continued to move forward. In the death energy, Knight Sorrow's vision was blocked, so his visibility was very low. After thinking for a while, Knight Sorrow released his soul power to investigate. This was the benefit of having soul power. Knight Sorrow's soul power could cover a radius of 2 miles. Moreover, it was a coverage without any blind spots. It was much more effective than vision. Love Go Little Say Netku relying on his soul power to investigate, Knight Sorrow slowly moved forward. Although he could detect if there were any dark creatures within a radius of 2 miles, he was still worried. If a dark creature with a stronger soul power discovered him before he could detect it, he would be in trouble. He advanced step by step. After advancing for 5 kilometers, Knight Sorrow found the place that attracted his attention. It was a call 2 kilometers ahead. The place that caused Knight Sorrow's special feeling was this kernel. However, Knight Sorrow's soul power could not detect it because there was a strong energy interference. After entering the call, Knight Sorrow was stunned. At the same time, he was a little depressed. There were a lot of death crystals in this call, but they were useless to him because their attributes were not compatible. Knight Sorrow thought for a while and felt that it was necessary to dig them up. He did not need them, but he could exchange them. After all, they were attribute crystals. Holding the sky-piercing spear, Knight Sorrow began to dig. He followed the principle of not letting go of good things. Even if he gave it to Tianji Tower, he could still exchange it for some resources. As he dug, the death crystals entered Knight Sorrow's storage ring. After digging for a while, Knight Sorrow was tired. He took out a jar of wine and drank a mouthful. At this time, Knight Sorrow discovered that there was a flash of light not far ahead. As he walked closer, Knight Sorrow rubbed his eyes. He was afraid that his eyes were playing tricks on him. In the middle of the death crystals, there was a corpse sitting cross-legged. The corpse was surrounded by milky white crystals, followed by black death crystals. As Knight Sorrow walked forward, the corpse was instantly turned into ashes because of the air fluctuation caused by Knight Sorrow. A storage ring also fell to the ground. Knight Sorrow went forward and picked up the storage ring. He then observed the milky white crystals around him. Soul crystals. Yi Shan discovered that this milky white crystal contained extremely dense soul energy. It was the most precious of all the attribute crystals. It was a soul crystal that was more valuable than any other crystal. Even the top-tier destruction crystals and void crystals, as well as the high-tier life crystals and death crystals, couldn't compare to a soul stone. Attribute crystals needed to correspond to a cultivator's own attribute, while soul stones were needed by all cultivators and could be used. Of course, this only applied to cultivators at Tier 5 and above who could cultivate soul power. Holding the sky-piercing spear, Night Sorrow began to dig. Night Sorrow was excited. This was a treasure that could solve a big problem. After digging for a while, Night Sorrow dug out over 300 pieces of soul crystals. He did not even let go of the small pieces. Night Sorrow then started to dig at the death crystals in the canyon. At the same time, Night Sorrow also pondered the reason for the formation of soul crystals and death crystals. As he pondered, Night Sorrow came to a realization. The formation of these death crystals and soul crystals had something to do with the corpse from before. Night Sorrow suspected that the corpse belonged to a cultivator with the death attribute. Due to the corpse's death, its energy and soul power had scattered, forming death crystals and soul crystals. After digging out all the crystals, Night Sorrow checked again and again to make sure that he did not miss anything. He then retreated from the valley and left this special area. He then released Tianyu and rushed towards the battlefield. What Night Sorrow did not know was that while he was flying with Tianyu, Ho Jian's group and the blood-robed guards had retreated. They planned to wait for Night Sorrow near the entrance. Chapter 4:15. Geniuses remember love in 1 second? I'll provide you with some interesting novels to read. Night Sorrow's soul power wrapped around the silver gray, ancient storage ring for a moment. Then, a special space appeared. What a big space! Night Sorrow was shocked. The space in this storage ring was more than 10 times bigger than the storage rings left behind by Feng Chen and Lu Shan. Just as Night Sorrow was about to check what was in the storage ring, a wave of energy appeared. Tianyu extended his wings, but he couldn't retract them. Everything became still. Then, an energy figure appeared in front of Tianyu. The energy figure was wearing a long robe made of coarse cloth. He had a head of white hair that reached his shoulders. His eyes were fixed on Night Sorrow. This figure was exactly the same as the corpse. Night Sorrow couldn't be more shocked. Time is like a knife. You're not bad, young man. Unfortunately, you don't have the death attribute, the old man said. As the old man spoke, Night Sorrow realized that he could move again. However, Tianyu and the space around him were still. Junior didn't mean to offend Senior. It's just that the corpse has been weathered and can't be buried. Night Sorrow was sure that the old man had something to do with the corpse. Since I'm already dead, the corpse is just a bag of skin. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. This remnant of my soul has always been in the storage ring. It was your soul power that awakened this remnant of my soul, the old man said. Senior, do you have any last wishes that I can fulfill? Night Sorrow asked. That's right. This storage ring was left behind by yours truly. Within it is yours truly's legacy. If you can promise to find a legacy for yours truly's skill, then yours truly's legacy will be yours. If you can't, then yours truly will shatter this storage ring, the old man said. However, Senior, you should know that it is very difficult to encounter a cultivator with the death attribute. Even if you do encounter a cultivator with the death attribute, it will depend on their temperament. If a cultivator with a bad temperament were to obtain Senior's legacy, it would be a disaster. Thus, I would rather destroy this storage ring than make a careless promise, said Night Sorrow after some thought. You're right to think that way. As long as you promise to pass down my secret codex of death to a suitable cultivator of the death attribute, that will do, said the old man. Senior, don't worry. I can do that, Night Sorrow said. That's fine. The resources in this storage ring are all yours. You can also study the secret codex of death. Additionally, there are some medicinal pills with the death attribute in this storage ring. I hope you can leave them for that disciple of mine whom I have yet to meet." The old man sighed. At the same time, his energy figure dimmed slightly. "I will definitely do it," Night Sorrow said. "Good. Truth be told, I like you more. However, you possess the void attribute. I will not lead you astray." After hearing Night Sorrow's promise, the old man nodded his head in satisfaction. "Senior, you flatter me. If there is anything else you need me to do, please tell me. If I can help, I will definitely do it," Night Sorrow said. "Then, help me with one more thing. I am from the Western Underworld. The sect I belong to is the Dark Island. If you have time, go to the Dark Island and have a look. You can write a copy of my secret Codex of Death and send it to the Dark Island. If my sect is destroyed, then forget it. There is no need for you to deliberately go. You can go whenever it is convenient," said the old man. "Western Underworld? Is it the Western Underworld region?" Night Sorrow asked. "What Western Underworld region?" asked the old man in return. "The Western Underworld region of the 9 regions and 18 states. I have never heard of a place called the Western Underworld," Night Sorrow said. 9 regions and 18 states? Western Underworld region. I do not know. "Tell me," said the old man after pondering for a moment. Night Sorrow began to talk about the history and current situation of the 9 regions and 18 states. That war back then should be the war of investiture. Sigh. "Even if I die, it will not change anything. That was not the last war. When the 9 regions and 18 states prosper again and reach a new peak, such a war will happen again." After speaking, the old man's figure began to fade. "Senior, how can I help you?" Night Sorrow was a little anxious. When the energy dissipated, the old man would disappear as well. "This is a strand of my soul. When the power of my soul is exhausted, everything will end." The old man shook his head. Night Sorrow took out a soul crystal and tossed it over, hoping it would be of help to the old man. When the soul crystal reached the old man's hand, it instantly turned into a pale white stone. The old man's energy body stabilized a little. "Haha. This is the power of my origin after I died. After being refined by the energy of heaven and earth, it became a soul crystal. In fact, you don't need to know too much. If you know too much, it will create pressure. The so-called war of investiture is actually a war between a group of people who are unwilling to be suppressed and want to break the shackles," said the old man. "Senior, why are there so many dark creatures in this space?" Night Sorrow asked. "In the war back then, I was worried that the mountains and rivers of the Western Underworld region would be damaged, so I shattered the space barrier between the dark space and the 9 regions world you speak of. I fought with my opponent in this dark space. Perhaps the 9 regions world was shattered, and some of the mountains, rivers, and earth entered here. Some of the corpses buried in the mountains, rivers, and earth mutated." The old man thought for a moment and explained. "Then I understand. Senior died for the 9 regions world. If there is anything else you want me to do, I will definitely do it," Night Sorrow said. At the same time, he tossed another soul crystal to the old man. "There is nothing else. There's nothing else. By the way, my opponent back then was a life attribute saint. She was struck by my soul destruction slash and should have died here as well. Search for her, you might be able to find something. She was heavily injured and should have left in the direction of the east. Remember, she's an insidious and cunning person," the old man said. "Senior, is there no way to recover?" Seeing that the soul crystal couldn't bring back the old man's figure, Night Sorrow was a little anxious. "There is no such possibility. Everything is over, but isn't it also a new beginning?" said the old man with a smile. "A new beginning?" Night Sorrow was a little puzzled. "I, the Dark Spirit Saint, am not so easy to be completely destroyed. I have kept a wisp of my soul in the storage ring for so many years to gather soul fragments in preparation for today, to prepare for reincarnation. Your soul power is full of vitality. Under the stimulation of your soul, I can now do this, said the old man. Reincarnation. Can it really be reincarnated? Knight Sorrow was a little surprised. When you reach a certain level, you will understand some of the principles of heaven and earth. Immortality can be cultivated. It is possible to control the power of reincarnation. The road of cultivation is really long and endless, the old man said with a sigh. After saying that, the old man waved his right hand and a spatial crack appeared. Look at F*** version A. Chapter S Section T Upper FJ. Knight Sorrow looked at the old man in shock. Chapter 4:16. Genius 1 second. Remember love/go/little. I will provide you with wonderful novels to read. Watching the spatial cracks slowly close, Knight Sorrow was stunned for a long time. He was shocked. Was this the method of a powerhouse? If the soul was not destroyed, it could be reincarnated. Dark Soul Saint. Knight Sorrow remembered this name. He also knew that this was once a peerless powerhouse. Knight Sorrow calmed himself down. He steered Tianyu toward the place where he had encountered the dark dragon snake and continued to search for the resources left behind by the Dark Soul Saint. The Dark Soul Saint's storage ring was ridiculously large. The resources were also very rich. There were hundreds of high-grade crystals, ores, and alchemy materials. In the middle of the storage ring, Knight Sorrow saw a table with 2 ancient books on it. Knight Sorrow thought for a moment and took out the ancient books. The first book was the Dark Soul Saint's Inheritance, the Death's Secret Codex, and the other was the Battle Skill Soul Extinguishing / Seeing these 3 words, Knight Sorrow was shocked. The Dark Soul Saint had said that his opponent should have been hit by his soul extinguishing / and died in this space. +% version HV first 7. Flipping open the ancient book, Knight Sorrow's hands couldn't help but tremble. The soul extinguishing / was not a true energy battle skill, but a soul battle skill. Knight Sorrow had never heard of a soul battle skill. Knight Sorrow didn't need a true energy battle skill now because he had mastered enough battle skills. He just needed to continue cultivating and increasing his maturity. However, he needed a soul battle skill. He had never heard of anyone who had mastered it. Love go/little say/little, chew. After taking a look, Knight Sorrow closed the ancient book. The soul extinguishing / was aimed at the enemy Spirit Sea. It specialized in attacking the soul, but the requirements were harsh. It required the soul to be in a liquid state. However, Knight Sorrow's soul was still in a gaseous state, so he couldn't cultivate it. He steered Tianyu back to the place where he had encountered the dark dragon snake. However, Knight Sorrow didn't see anyone because Ho Jian and the Bloodstrike guards had retreated to the spatial passage. Knight Sorrow thought for a moment and decided to follow the Dark Soul Saint's instructions and find the Life Saint he had killed. Knight Sorrow followed the Dark Soul Saint's instructions and headed east. Knight Sorrow was looking forward to what the Life Saint had left behind. Knight Sorrow steered Tianyu towards the east. Knight Sorrow saw many darkness demons along the way, including rank 5 ones. However, they weren't as fast as the Tianyu and were left far behind. Knight Sorrow searched for 3 days in the area the Dark Soul Saint had pointed out, but he still didn't find anything. Baidu search AI go female sign shao say www.aichuxs. Knight Sorrow wasn't in a hurry. He didn't have a time limit this time, so he could slowly search. Knight Sorrow slowly expanded his search area. On the 5th day, Knight Sorrow discovered a special area thousands of miles away from the valley where the Dark Soul Saint had fallen. It was overflowing with greenery, clearly different from other areas. After putting away Tianyu, Knight Sorrow headed forward to investigate. The situation in this area was a bit special. There weren't any dark creatures here, and the demon beasts had turned into ordinary demon beasts. However, they were all very strong. After walking for a while, Knight Sorrow had already killed 2 early-stage 5th-rank demon beasts. Knight Sorrow then arrived in front of a very shallow pool. There was a mountain rock in the middle of the pool, and a female corpse in a green dress was sitting cross-legged on the mountain rock. There were many green energy crystals in the pool below her, but there weren't any soul crystals like Night Sorrow had found beside the Dark Soul Saint's corpse. This made Night Sorrow feel a bit strange. Night Sorrow walked around the pool and found that there was a dense life force aura here. Moreover, it didn't seem to have any intention of spreading, but was condensed together. It could be said that the water in the pool was filled with spirit chi. There was a green liquid in the middle of a rock that was exposed above the water surface. It was life spirit liquid. After investigating for a while, Night Sorrow didn't find anything strange. He reached out and touched the green energy crystal in the pool. Bang! Night Sorrow felt his hand touch an energy wall, and a strong rebounding force sent him flying. Holding on to the ground, Night Sorrow stood up. At this moment, the head of the female corpse on the mountain rock in the pool began to glow. Then, an oval-shaped crystal rose from the top of her head, and an energy halo flashed. In the blink of an eye, a female energy body in a green dress appeared in Night Sorrow's line of sight. Night Sorrow took a step back, and his right hand touched the reincarnation spear. He found that this female's energy body was much more condensed than the Dark Soul Saint's. Void attribute, it's actually the void attribute. Is this an opportunity? The female energy body in a green dress sized up Night Sorrow and muttered to herself. Who are you? Night Sorrow opened his mouth and asked. I sealed this place, sealed myself, and waited for the day when a furnace with a pure soul would appear. You just entered the rank 5, but your soul power is not weak. Very good. The female energy body in a green dress said. What do you mean? Night Sorrow felt that something was wrong. The way the female looked at him was as if she was looking at a prey, a treasure. I'll explain it to you. I was injured in a battle in the past, and in order to protect my soul source, I gave up my physical body. At the same time, I sealed the energy here so that it wouldn't spread. I was waiting for a suitable furnace to appear. I can use the furnace to recultivate. Do you understand? The female's eyes flashed as she checked on Night Sorrow's situation. You mean to take over my soul, but you have to know that I don't have the life attribute. If you take over my body, your attributes won't match. You won't have great achievements. Furthermore, I'm a man. Night Sorrow understood the Dark Soul Saint's words. This female was really cunning, and her methods were also very vile. Attributes won't match? You won't have great achievements? Then you are gravely mistaken. What I care about is the purity of your soul. Everything else isn't important. As for your attributes, if you were an ordinary attribute, I would use the life attribute to crush you. You have the sovereign level void attribute. This is exactly what I want. In the future, it will be much easier for me to reach the Great Tao. The female in a green dress left the pool and approached Night Sorrow. But I'm a man. Night Sorrow's body trembled as he tried to break free. If there was any danger, he would activate the seal-breaking bead. A man is even better. I don't like men, I like women. In the past, I kept beautiful women in my mansion. After I take over your body, I won't need a fake phoenix. The female's words were filled with excitement. Scram! You stay away from me. Night Sorrow's expression changed. This female was too abnormal. Not only was she abnormally strong, but her mentality was also somewhat twisted. Your body is very strong. It has reached the level of essence chi smoke. I like it. In the future, I can use this body to roam the world. Don't struggle, the seal-breaking bead is useless. The female reached out and tore apart Night Sorrow's robes. She then grabbed the seal-breaking bead from Night Sorrow's chest. Night Sorrow was helpless. This female's thoughts were meticulous. She had actually discovered the unstable element in his body. At this time, Night Sorrow carefully connected with his storage ring. He planned to seize the opportunity to take out Wu Lingfei's soul orb and activate it. If he rashly took it out now, it would be easily taken away by this female. Don't think about it. You won't have the chance. After saying this, the female's body trembled and turned into a ball of light. She pounced towards Night Sorrow's head and began to take over his body. Night Sorrow didn't have the ability to resist. He could only let out a roar. Night Sorrow's roar was mixed with the female's scream. Chapter 4:17. Genius remembers love in 1 second/small. We provide you with wonderful novels to read. When the energy body of the green-dressed woman entered Night Sorrow's head and touched his spirit sea, the heavenly fate pearl of nothingness in Night Sorrow's spirit sea moved. With a quick rotation, the woman's energy body was pushed out of Night Sorrow's spirit sea. This was not the end. The purple heavenly fate pearl of nothingness quickly rotated in Night Sorrow's spirit sea. A vast amount of nothingness energy passed through Night Sorrow's forehead and wrapped around the green-dressed woman's energy body. The woman's miserable screams kept coming out. The energy of the heavenly fate pearl of nothingness was crushing and grinding her, constantly depleting her energy. At this moment, Night Sorrow could move. Being attacked by the heavenly fate pearl of nothingness, the woman's spatial imprisonment was no longer effective. Quickly take it back. Why do you have the nothingness origin? Quickly take it back. The woman kept screaming. Translator, Sigma editor, Sigma editor, Sigma, heaven's sins can be forgiven, but the sins brought on by oneself are the hardest to bear. Night Sorrow took out his reincarnation spear and directly unleashed his most powerful spear attack. He stabbed towards the life origin in the woman's head. That was the source of her energy. The energy of the heavenly fate pearl of nothingness did not stop Night Sorrow's attack. Thus, Night Sorrow's spear heavily bombarded the woman's life origin pearl. Following Night Sorrow's attack, the woman let out a heart-wrenching scream. Her divine sense was attached to the life origin pearl of nothingness. Thus, she was fatally injured by Night Sorrow's attack. Following that, Night Sorrow violently attacked the woman's life origin pearl of nothingness. When Night Sorrow's fourth attack landed on the woman's life origin pearl of nothingness, the woman's energy body dissipated. A fist-sized green pearl fell to the ground. At this moment, the energy of the heavenly fate pearl of nothingness also retracted into Night Sorrow's spirit sea. Yishang stepped forward and picked up the energy bead that the woman in green had given him. He didn't know what it was called. After checking it over and over again to make sure that there were no signs of life and that it wouldn't cause any trouble, Night Sorrow put it into his storage ring. Then, Night Sorrow went to the shallow pond and collected the liquid of life. Then, he took the storage ring from the woman's corpse. The corpse was actually just a skeleton. After putting away the storage ring, Night Sorrow began to fish for life crystals in the shallow pool. In the time it took to brew a cup of tea, Night Sorrow had fished out more than 400 life spirit stones. This made him extremely excited. These were all very useful. Life crystals were not as extreme as death crystals. Even if it did not help one's cultivation, it was very beneficial to one's body. Who did not need the essence of life? After collecting them, Night Sorrow realized that he did not miss anything. He took a bath in the spring water that contained life energy and released Tianyu and Silver Fox. After that, Tianyu and Silver Fox began to play in the shallow pool. After playing for a while, Silver Fox jumped to the shore and stopped moving. His body did not move, but the energy in his body was surging. Breakthrough. Night Sorrow understood that Silver Fox was trying to break through to the core formation stage. Night Sorrow had long felt that Silver Fox should break through. It had been silent at the peak of element gathering stage for a long time. No matter how well prepared it was, there was a limit to it. Night Sorrow asked Tianyu to guard Silver Fox while he sat down cross-legged. He took out the woman's storage ring and began to check it. After checking, Night Sorrow had the urge to curse. The moment Night Sorrow's soul power entered the storage ring, there was a series of explosions in the storage ring. All the resources and materials were blown into pieces. There was a restriction. If the woman's soul power had not entered, everything in the storage ring would have been destroyed. After withdrawing his soul power, Night Sorrow cleaned up the trash inside. The storage ring was big enough and was a rare treasure in itself. Night Sorrow waited for Silver Fox to break through to the next stage by the pool. At the same time, he also practiced. 2 days later, a violent energy vibration came from Silver Fox's body, and then his aura began to rise. When it reached a limit, the tail behind Silver Fox began to vibrate, and then with a change, one tail turned into 4, one of which was relatively short. At this time, Silver Fox had entered the core condensation stage. Nine-tailed Fox. Night Sorrow stood up. He was extremely shocked. Silver Fox had actually activated the nine-tailed fox bloodline. That was the bloodline of an ancient mutated beast. It was extremely rare in the world, and activating it was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. However, Silver Fox had succeeded. This proved that his future was limitless. Then Silver Fox's breath was still rising. His cultivation kept increasing until he reached the 5th level of the core formation stage. Night Sorrow was shocked. It took him a lot of effort and time to go from the 1st level of the core formation stage to the 5th level. However, Silver Fox completed the breakthrough in a moment. While waiting for Silver Fox to stabilize his cultivation, Night Sorrow began to practice his spear arts. A day later, Silver Fox finished stabilizing his cultivation. He pounced and landed on Night Sorrow. Not bad. You're too heavy. Night Sorrow smiled and reached out to touch Silver Fox's head. Silver Fox's head rubbed against Night Sorrow's chest. Silver Fox, you can't appear in front of people in the future. Your 4 tails will cause a lot of trouble, Night Sorrow said. A pair of elfin eyes looked at Night Sorrow. Silver Fox's 4 tails swayed and then turned into one again. You can change. That's not bad. You can play outside in the future. Night Sorrow knocked on Silver Fox's head and called Tianyu over. His body fluttered and he carried Silver Fox on his back. Then, they flew toward the spatial passage. Night Sorrow felt that the Blood Strike guards, Ho Jian, and the others should be waiting at the spatial passage. At that moment, the Blood Strike guards, Ho Jian, and the others were at the spatial passage. They had sent someone back to report. Wu Lingfei closed her eyes and listened to Lei Zhang's report. Then, she waved at Lei Zhang. My lord, will Night Sorrow be okay? Qin Nan asked. No, I left a trace of origin spirit qi in his body. I can sense his condition. His qi and blood are vigorous. He hasn't suffered any serious injuries, Wu Lingfei said. That's good. This guy is too worrisome, Qin Nan said. Actually, this also means that Night Sorrow's experience in the death space will not be simple, Wu Lingfei said. I don't quite understand, Qin Nan said. Some things can't be explained clearly. I can only give you an example. For example, if 3 people go out to train together, they might not gain anything because the heavenly Tao will not favor 3 people. However, if one person goes out alone, they might suffer a fatal attack or even die. But it's easy to gain something. Do you understand? Wu Lingfei said. I don't think Night Sorrow's rise will be a problem. There is no need for him to risk his life in the death space, Qin Nan said. That's not wrong, but under such protection, a cultivator who grows up can only become an ordinary master. It's very difficult to become a king who can look down on cultivators of the same level. I don't think Yi Shang is willing to be ordinary, said Wu Lingfei. We understand, my lord. Lei Hua and Qin Nan bowed. Chapter 418. Genius 1 second. Remember love go/little. We provide you with wonderful novels to read. On a night of rest, Tianyu advanced once again, reaching the late stage of the spirit severing stage. Night Sorrow was very happy that Tianyu had advanced. If Night Sorrow looked at Silver Fox with doting love, then he looked at Tianyu with brotherly love. Tianyu was a combat partner that he could rely on in life and death. After advancing, Tianyu's speed increased once again. With a flap of his wings, he could travel several kilometers. Night Sorrow quickly returned to the spatial tunnel entrance. When they saw that Night Sorrow was safe and sound, Ho Jian and the others, as well as the Bloodstrike guards, were very happy. Soon after, someone reported the news of Night Sorrow's safe return to the spatial tunnel. Night Sorrow couldn't leave. Once he left, he couldn't enter again. After resting at the spatial tunnel entrance for a day, Night Sorrow led a group of people forward to investigate. Along the way, they encountered many dark creatures. However, the Bloodstrike guards, Ho Jian, and the others were all wolves, so they didn't give Night Sorrow a chance to make a move. Tianyu and Silver Fox participated in the battle. Tianyu's strength didn't need to be mentioned. He could also kill rank 5 dark creatures. His combat strength wasn't weak at all. Silver Fox's combat strength was also very strong. His attack strength was average, but speed was his forte. Every time he attacked, he would leave behind afterimages. Opponents who weren't as fast as him had no chance of defeating him. Night Sorrow followed behind. Although he said that he would bring up the rear, all the dark creatures they encountered were killed. Why would he bring up the rear? He just followed behind. Every time they set up camp, Night Sorrow would work hard to cultivate. Now, his cultivation was more complicated. He had to consume Origin Spirit Liquid, hold Ice Spirit Blood Essences, and cultivate with Spirit Crystals in his left and right hands. Fortunately, these 3 things didn't conflict. Otherwise, Night Sorrow would be at a loss. These 3 things were the foundation for him. He couldn't give up on any of them. The following days were very peaceful. Night Sorrow acted a few times and killed 2 mid-stage rank 5 dark zombies. This made Ho Jian and the others speechless. If they encountered such an opponent, although they wouldn't be instantly killed, they would still have to retreat. On the other hand, Night Sorrow could directly kill his opponent. This was the difference between them. Captain, the current situation is still very stable. It's just that there are a lot of dark creatures. We don't know if we can encounter any powerful dark creatures. After another round of camping, Ho Jian and the others came to Night Sorrow's tent. Xue Ling also found a place to sit down. Liyue, don't just sit there. Brew a pot of tea. Night Sorrow waved at Nan Liyue. You guys are bullying me. Nan Liyue took out a tea set and started brewing tea. Hee, we are very grateful. As for what you said, Ho Jian, we just came in to check out the situation. The powerful dark creatures won't be muddle-headed. Those who should have rushed out have already done so. Those who didn't have the chance to rush out have hidden themselves. It won't be that easy to encounter them, Night Sorrow said. Ho Jian, don't jinx it. If we encounter a venerable rank dark creature, we won't even know how we died. A few days ago, when we encountered the dark serpent, if it wasn't for Captain covering the rear, we wouldn't know how many casualties we would have suffered. Nan Liyue said after pouring tea for everyone. Actually, we are taking a bit of a risk. However, this can't be helped. If we don't solve the root of the problem here, the eastern Xian region will always be in danger, Night Sorrow said. Ho Jian and the others nodded. They also understood this principle. Let's hope we are lucky. Xue Ling, we all have protective bracelets. They were given by Tianji Tower. At the critical moment, we can still hold on for a while. So, if anything happens, you take the Bloodstrike Guard brothers and retreat first, Night Sorrow said. Xue Ling nodded. He was very glad that the Bloodstrike Guard had a responsible captain. Forever and ever, free of charge, said Xue Ling 7 next. The group continued to move towards the area with dense dark energy. The battle was constantly going on because there were too many dark creatures. Night Sorrow joined the battle again. He didn't want everyone to consume too much energy. There were too many dark creatures. However, most of them were dark beasts. The group didn't find too many dark zombies and corpses. Tianyu and Silver Fox's combat skills were also improving. Silver Fox was the main one. Although Silver Fox didn't get injured in the beginning, it was still difficult for him to take down his opponent. After Night Sorrow's guidance, Silver Fox also learned how to attack the weak points. There were no dark beasts below rank 4 that he couldn't kill. After moving forward for half a month, the group seemed to have entered a sea of dark beasts. They were constantly being attacked by dark beasts. After moving forward for a while, the group discovered a special situation. There was a dark crack in the sky in the distance. Dense dark energy was pouring into the dark space through the crack. There were also streaks of lightning. Under the spatial crack, there was a towering mountain peak. Under the lightning, Night Sorrow could clearly see a figure sitting cross-legged on the peak, cultivating. Let's retreat. We can't afford to provoke that guy. Retreat quickly. Ride your flying beasts and fly at a low altitude. If we provoke it, we will all die. Night Sorrow anxiously ordered. When the Blood Strike Guard, Ho Jian, and the others got on their flying beasts and flew at a low altitude, Night Sorrow also summoned Silver Fox to get on Tianyu's back and retreat. After they were 100 miles away, Night Sorrow and the others gathered together. We can't play around in this space. That guy is definitely a venerable, and not just a low-level one, Night Sorrow said. Yes, the energy surrounding it is too terrifying. It can't be bothered to deal with us. Otherwise, we would definitely die. Let's retreat. Ho Jian nodded. We already know the cause of the dark energy in this space. There's no need to stay here. Staying here won't solve the problem. Nan Liue also agreed with the idea of retreat. With such a terrifying existence, this dark space wasn't something that they could clear. If they couldn't deal with the strongest dark creature, it would be meaningless to get rid of all the ants. Then let's retreat. Night Sorrow nodded. After finding the source of the dark energy, Night Sorrow and the others' mission was considered complete. In addition, Night Sorrow also knew that there wouldn't be any source stones in this space. The energy here was produced by the spatial crack. This space was originally a shattered space. It took them a few days to return to the spatial passageway. Night Sorrow told everyone to wait. He then sent Lei Bao back to report to Lei Hua and Qin Nan. However, the ones who could make the decision now weren't Lei Hua and Qin Nan. The two of them brought Lei Bao to Wu Lingfei's tent. After glancing at Lei Bao, Wu Lingfei nodded, indicating for him to report. Lei Bao then reported the situation they discovered. It's actually the Heaven Vault. Pass this crystal ball to Night Sorrow. Tell him to go to the Heaven Vault again. Tell him that when he reaches the Heaven Vault, he can use his energy to activate this crystal ball. Once the crystal ball lights up, he can return. Most importantly, tell him to carry the soul pearl I gave him earlier with him. Don't keep it in your interspatial ring. If he encounters any danger, activate it. Wu Lingfei took out a crystal ball and tossed it to Lei Bao. After that, she made some arrangements. Chapter 419. A genius remembers love in 1 second? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Sir, this will put Night Sorrow in danger. A dark creature like that could kill Night Sorrow with a wave of its hand, Qin Nan said worriedly. It doesn't matter. Many years ago, I had already condensed a soul clone. That soul clone has always been cultivating inside the Void Dao Stone, and my Void Dao Stone is on Night Sorrow's body. However, I told him about the soul crystal, so he doesn't know either. Wu Lingfei said. In other words, if Night Sorrow activates the Void Dao Stone, Master's clone will appear. However, once the soul clone is destroyed, it will cause a lot of damage to Master's original body. Lei Hua said worriedly. That's true, but it won't be that easy to destroy my clone. A normal soul clone only has 30 to 50% of the strength of the main body. But because of my talent, my soul clone has 70% of the strength of the main body. Wu Lingfei stood up. If the dark creature isn't that strong, Master's clone can sweep through this dark space, Qin Nan said excitedly. Unless it's absolutely necessary, I don't want to use that soul avatar. That soul avatar is at a very critical stage of cultivation. Awakening it now will result in a great loss, Wu Lingfei said. Then let Night Sorrow investigate the situation. Sir, you don't need to use your soul avatar. Qin Nan said. Yes, Qin Nan said. First of all, we have to see if Night Sorrow is in danger. Also, we have to see what level that dark creature is at. If it can't reach the Saint Realm in a short time, we won't be in a hurry to deal with it. If it's close to the Saint Realm, I'll kill it to prevent future trouble, Wu Lingfei said. After Yi Shan heard Lei Bao's words, he took the crystal ball and placed the spirit orb that Wu Lingfei gave him into his bosom. All of you, go back. I'll go there again. Captain, this is too dangerous. How can the higher-ups make such an arrangement? Nan Liyue was a little dissatisfied. Don't worry, we were fine the last time, and we'll be fine this time. So many of us went and didn't attract that guy's attention. It's less risky for me to go alone. Alright, you guys go back. Night Sorrow kept Silver Fox into his beast-taming space. After that, he hopped onto Tianyu's back and sped towards the heaven vault. Seeing Tianyu's figure disappear into the sky, Ho Jian and Xue Ling led their people out of the spatial tunnel. Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu were very anxious. They knew that Night Sorrow had set off on a dangerous mission. Qin Nan brought the two of them to Wu Lingfei's tent. Don't worry, I won't harm Night Sorrow. I have no family in this world, and Night Sorrow is the only one. I naturally have a way to protect him, Wu Lingfei said. Many thanks, milady. Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu bowed. Forever and ever, I'll be able to read free novels. I called the two of you here to make you feel at ease. Go on. Wu Lingfei waved her hands at the two of them. Night Sorrow took the crystal ball and sped towards the heaven vault. There were darkness demonic beasts blocking his path. Night Sorrow directly got Tianyu to increase his speed and shake them off. Right now, he didn't want to fight. He wanted to complete this mission. In Night Sorrow's heart, he had already weighed the dangers of this mission. He knew that if he wasn't careful, he might die. However, he trusted Wu Lingfei very much. He believed that Wu Lingfei wouldn't harm him. When he thought of this, Night Sorrow took out the soul pearl given to him by Wu Lingfei. He knew that the key to his safety was within this green-colored stone. Staring at this green-colored stone, Night Sorrow suddenly thought of something. He seemed to have a similar stone as well. That was the stone he snatched from Qi Xian in the void baleful space. After taking it out for comparison, Night Sorrow discovered that it was exactly the same. He planned to ask Wu Lingfei about it after he returned to the Darkness Island. After keeping the green-colored stone, Night Sorrow kept the soul pearl given to him by Wu Lingfei. After that, he glanced at the crystal ball. He knew that this was a memory crystal. As long as energy was activated, it would be able to record some things. Night Sorrow understood that Wu Lingfei and the others were planning to use the memory crystal to investigate the situation in the heaven vault. After using 3 days, Night Sorrow arrived near the heaven vault. He got Tianyu to land on a dark ancient tree. Night Sorrow held the crystal ball in his right hand and channeled his energy into it. After that, the energy in the crystal ball circulated as the scenes in the surroundings were recorded. Even the silhouette of the person cultivating on the mountain below the crack in the sky could be seen clearly. An instant later, the crystal ball lit up. After that, the image stopped. This was a sign that the recording was completed. At this moment, Night Sorrow's body was restricted. Night Sorrow instantly activated the seal-breaking pearl in his hand, telling Tianyu to flee as fast as he could. If there was a chance to escape, he didn't want to activate the soul pearl given to him by Wu Lingfei. As the seal-breaking pearl was activated, the spatial energy around Night Sorrow became chaotic. Tianyu flapped his wings and flew away rapidly. After that, a series of explosive sounds rang out behind Night Sorrow and Tianyu. Night Sorrow turned his head and stared at the location of the figure in the sky. That figure stood up, but he only casually punched out twice and didn't pursue. After fleeing for 100 miles, Night Sorrow's heart finally calmed down. He knew that this darkness giant treated him like an ant and didn't place him in his eyes. He had no interest in pursuing him. After putting away the crystal ball, Night Sorrow rode Tianyu towards the spatial tunnel. He knew that his mission was complete and there wouldn't be any danger from now on. Without rest, Tianyu had expended a lot of energy. Night Sorrow fed Tianyu Origin's spiritual liquid and returned to the spatial tunnel as fast as he could. At the spatial tunnel entrance, Night Sorrow turned around and looked at the death space. He knew that he wouldn't be able to return. He was helpless in this space restriction. In this space, Night Sorrow had experienced a lot and endured a lot of danger. Night Sorrow respected the Dark Soul Saint. The Dark Soul Saint had died for the 9 regions and 18 prefectures. Moreover, he didn't have any ulterior motives towards Night Sorrow. After meeting the woman in the green dress, Night Sorrow understood one thing. The woman in green could possess someone and the Dark Soul Saint could tear open space. It wouldn't be difficult for her to possess someone. However, the Dark Soul Saint didn't do that. This was his nature. Of course, neither the Dark Soul Saint nor the woman in green knew that Night Sorrow had the heavenly fate jewel in his spiritual sea. Therefore, the woman in green was unlucky. As the saying goes, if you don't do it, you won't die. After looking at the death space, Night Sorrow walked into the spatial tunnel and returned to the Dark Island. He returned to the 9 regions and 18 prefectures. Seeing Night Sorrow, Lei Hua and Qin Nan were very happy. Not to mention Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu, who had been waiting at the tunnel entrance. They looked at Night Sorrow nervously. It's okay. I'm not hurt. I'll go see the master first. We'll talk about the rest later. Night Sorrow nodded to Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu and walked towards Wu Lingfei's tent. When he arrived at Wu Lingfei's tent, Night Sorrow took out the crystal ball and handed it to her. Chapter 420. A genius remembers love in 1 second? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Wu Lingfei thought for a moment and said, "Don't worry about it. It's still within our control. Later, when I master my cultivation technique, I'll go in and kill it. Andi Fei, the problem now is that those of us who are above rank 5 cannot enter." Night Sorrow said. "You don't have to worry about this. Aunt Fei has a way." Wu Lingfei nodded at Night Sorrow. "I have a piece of ore. Can Auntie Fei help me appraise it?" Night Sorrow asked. At this time, Lei Hua and Qin Nan nodded towards Wu Lingfei and left. They understood Wu Lingfei's method, which was to let someone bring the phantom Dao stone containing her soul avatar into the death space. The spatial passageway could block the beast taming crystal and the like, but the void Dao stone was rather special. It could isolate all energy and also isolate detection. What ore? Let Aunt Fei see. Wu Lingfei took off her veil because there was no need to do so in front of Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow took out his green ore and gave it to Wu Lingfei. Wu Lingfei took the cyan ore and flicked her finger casually, removing some of the impurities on the edge of the cyan ore. "I didn't expect you to have this. You must have noticed that this ore is made of the same material as the spirit orb I gave you." Baidu search love go shao say www.aichux.com. Yes, I feel that even if it's not the same, it will be close. Night Sorrow nodded. This thing is called the Void Dao Stone. It is extremely valuable. Although it is not as valuable as the Origin Stone, at certain times, its existence is even more important than the Origin Stone. Put it away. Wu Lingfei threw the Void Dao Stone to Night Sorrow. Then this? Night Sorrow took out the Phantom Dao Stone that contained Wu Lingfei's soul clone and asked. Q. Look at Chapter T$ on the F version 7. I'll leave it with you for now. It'll be a life-saving talisman for you, Wu Lingfei said. She didn't want to talk too much with Night Sorrow. With Night Sorrow's current level, knowing too much would only increase the pressure on him. Furthermore, she didn't want her soul avatar to become Night Sorrow's support. There was a great terror between life and death, and only by crossing the limit could one surpass oneself. If Night Sorrow knew the secret of the Void Dao Stone and the Soul Clone, then he would lose the training effect. I also obtained some things. Auntie Faye, can you help me take a look? Night Sorrow took out the energy bead left behind by the green-clothed woman after she died. Saint Crystals. You actually obtained a Saint Crystal? That's a Saint Yuan spirit orb. It has the same properties as an Source Stone, but it's lower. Wu Lingfei looked at Night Sorrow in surprise because this thing was too rare. Afterwards, Wu Lingfei explained the situation to Night Sorrow. When a cultivator entered the honorable realm, they had to reach the unity of heaven and man realm. This was a realm that could be reached as long as one's soul spirit energy was high enough. However, it was very difficult for an honorable to enter the saint realm. Even if one's talent was heaven-defying, if one didn't have the opportunity, they wouldn't have the chance. This was related to the laws of heaven and earth. If one wanted to enter the saint realm, they had to control the laws of heaven and earth. There were two ways to control the laws of heaven and earth. One of them was to have an Source Stone to analyze and control the laws of heaven and earth, and the other way was to obtain a saint crystal from a fallen saint. This was because saint crystals also contained the laws of heaven and earth. Refining a saint crystal would give one a chance to enter the saint realm. Hearing Wu Lingfei's words, Night Sorrow felt a bit conflicted because this saint crystal was very important. Wu Lingfei might need it, but Sikong Chuyu was of the water attribute, so he might need it in the future. Night Sorrow thought about it and felt that Sikong Chuyu was only at the 5th stage, so he was still a distance away from the honorable realm, let alone the saint realm. However, Wu Lingfei might need it soon. Auntie Faye, take it and use it. Night Sorrow said. It's not suitable. You might not know this, but source stones can be used as reference and can be used without any harm. However, this saint crystal will be gone once it's used, Wu Lingfei said. That's not important. I'm not of the life attribute, so I don't need it. Chuyu is of the water attribute and might evolve into the life attribute in the future, but at that time, I might be able to obtain other treasures, Night Sorrow directly explained. All right. Auntie Faye indeed needs this. After knowing you and borrowing your fate, Auntie Faye's strength will greatly increase. Wu Lingfei didn't hesitate and put away the life saint crystal. Following this, the two of them sat down and Yishan told him about what had happened in the death dimension. He didn't hide anything, but he left out the part where the woman in green had been injured by the Nihility Fate Orb and didn't mention it. She wouldn't have died if she didn't seek it. She wanted to take over your body and caused her to fall. She deserved it. However, that dark soul saint is worthy of respect, Wu Lingfei said. Originally, I planned to give the death crystal to Tianji Tower in exchange for some resources, but I think it's better to keep it and give it to his successor in the future. This way, I won't feel guilty, Night Sorrow stated his decision. That's a good idea. Aunt Faye supports you. With death crystals, death attribute cultivators will be able to grow much faster. That way, you'll be able to leave behind some kinship for him. Wu Lingfei nodded in satisfaction. She really appreciated Yishan's magnanimity. There are also life crystals. Auntie Faye, leave some behind. Night Sorrow directly took out a small pile of life crystals. Night Sorrow, how can Auntie Faye endure this? Wu Lingfei said with a bitter smile. Auntie Faye, just take it. Night Sorrow said. He took out a third of it and kept the rest. He felt that it would be enough even if Sikong Chuyu needed it in the future. All right. Also, there is something else I need to tell you. A lot of dark creatures have appeared at the other exit of the death space. They have already broken through Jianghai City's defenses and are heading towards Starcloud Sect's territory. Dongxian City must take action in this matter. We have already sent several teams of Black Iron Guards over. Take 30 Bloodstrike Guards with you and go take a look, Wu Lingfei said. Okay, I will go back and prepare. Night Sorrow nodded. Let Commander Qin take you there. You are currently the captain of the Bloodstrike Guards. You only need to be responsible for Commander Qin. You don't need to care about the others, Wu Lingfei said. Auntie Faye, Tianji Tower is fine. I am worried that there will be more disputes in the City Lord's mansion. I don't want to be involved in their disputes. I also don't want to see those power struggles and schemes, Night Sorrow said. They won't. There are only 2 people in charge of the Bloodstrike Guards. Commander Qin is in charge of your side. If there are any blind people, just take out Auntie Fei's token, Wu Lingfei said. Okay. Auntie Fei, are you still going to stay here? Night Sorrow asked. Later. Auntie Fei will set up a formation here and then return to Dongxian City. When the time is right, Auntie Fei will come back to clean up this place. Also, some of the things you experienced are too shocking. It's best if you don't tell others. It will only cause panic, Wu Lingfei said. Chapter 421. Genius remembers love in 1 second/small. We provide you with wonderful novels to read. After entering the 5th rank of the Void Inquiry stage, you can cultivate your innate bloodline technique. This is very important to you. Wu Lingfei signaled Night Sorrow to sit down. Aunt Fei, I've already cultivated it. The effect is not bad. Night Sorrow said. The effect is not bad? What do you mean by the effect is not bad? Let's go somewhere else. You can try it for me. Wu Lingfei took out a golden mask and put it on. Then, she brought Night Sorrow out of the tent. She waved her hand and wrapped Night Sorrow with her energy before bringing him to the mountain peak where Night Sorrow and the others fought. Try it. Wu Lingfei said to Night Sorrow after releasing the energy binding. Night Sorrow nodded. Then, the 3 innate bloodline energy points under the dragon bone erupted, forming a slash and blasting it towards an ancient tree 20 zhang away. **** space and air were cut apart by Night Sorrow's spatial crack, producing a hissing sound. Then, a hole appeared in the middle of the ancient tree. That's right. This is Night Moon Dynasty's spatial crack. You've cultivated it very well. I didn't expect it to have such power. You have to slowly strengthen the innate bloodline energy points. This spatial crack will become even stronger. Wu Lingfei said. Spatial crystals are scarce. I've talked to the Vice Lord and Chief Protector of the Tianji Tower to see if they have any spatial crystals. I'll go and exchange them for some. Night Sorrow said. Aunt Fei still has a few pieces here. Take them first. However, don't absorb the energy of the spatial crystals for cultivation. Your innate bloodline is still at the basic stage. It's not good to borrow too much external force. Wu Lingfei took out 3 spatial crystals and said. Aunt Fei, I'll take them then. Night Sorrow said with a smile. You don't have to be so polite with Aunt Fei. Your soul power already has a foundation. You don't have to worry about soul defense. However, the improvement of your soul power can't be sloppy. It's more important than the improvement of your true qi. Wu Lingfei reminded Night Sorrow. Auntie Fei, I still have soul crystals, Night Sorrow said. I know you have a lot of treasures. Keep them for yourself. Aunt Fei is at a bottleneck now. Some resources are useless, Wu Lingfei said. Auntie Fei, why don't you take the water origin stone and study it again? Night Sorrow thought for a moment and said. He felt that Wu Lingfei needed source stones more than Sikong Chuyu. That's not the case. If we use the water element as the foundation to break through, Auntie Fei can easily do it. But Auntie Fei doesn't want to be an ordinary cultivator. If I want to be a strong cultivator who despises everything, said Wu Lingfei. Night Sorrow nodded. He understood that Wu Lingfei was someone with great ambitions and was unwilling to be ordinary. I wanted to teach you the Xian Jade Slash, but you don't need it since you already have the spatial crack. Don't bite off more than you can chew, Wu Lingfei said. Then, Wu Lingfei brought Night Sorrow back to the camp. Go and prepare. As for the 4 people in Tianji Tower, let them decide what to do. Night Sorrow nodded and returned to his tent. You rascal, isn't one day enough for you? How's it going? Yang Lei grumbled to Yi Shang, her heart aching. It's done. We don't have anything else to do here. However, I might have to take the Bloodstrike guards to the Nebula sect to clean up the dark creatures. This time, you guys can come with me. Everyone's cultivation is the same, so there won't be any restrictions, Night Sorrow said with a smile. That's good. This way, we'll feel more at ease. We don't want to see you take risks and be anxious, Sikong Chuyu said. Then, Night Sorrow called Ho Jian and the others to ask for their opinions. In the end, their opinions were unanimous. They were all willing to follow Night Sorrow into battle. That's good. You guys go and rest. Listen to the orders later, Night Sorrow said to Ho Jian and the others. Ho Jian and the others nodded and left. They knew that Night Sorrow had just returned and had a lot to say to Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu. Yi Shan gave 2 bottles of life spirit fluid to the 2 women and some soul crystals to the others. 13. Your luck is heaven-defying. As long as you go out to train, you'll always be able to bring back some top-grade resources. These are things that others can't even dream of, but you've already gotten them, Yang Lei said as she hugged Night Sorrow's shoulder. Yi Shang only smiled. He had only taken out a portion, just enough for the 2 women to use. He didn't say exactly how many resources there were. Once he did, it would implicate a lot. As for the matter of the Dark Spirit Saint and Life Saintess, Yi Shang didn't want to tell the 2 women. Night Sorrow felt very relaxed when he was with Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu. At night, Qin Nan came and told Night Sorrow to rest well. Tomorrow, she would bring them back to Waterfront City. When Night Sorrow was about to meet the blood-robed guards, Qin Nan told him that the blood-robed guards had already sailed out to Waterfront City to wait for them. At night, Night Sorrow didn't cultivate. He just rested on the bed Yang Lei made for him. Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu sat in the tent to accompany him. After dawn, Night Sorrow planned to bid farewell to Wu Lingfei. However, he discovered that Wu Lingfei had left the Dark Island after setting up an array in the pit last night. Qin Nan then wrapped Night Sorrow, Sikong Chuyu, and Ho Jian with energy and set off for Waterfront City. It didn't take long for Qin Nan to cover a distance of a few thousand miles with her rapid flight. Soon, the group arrived at the city lord's mansion. In the backyard, Night Sorrow saw 30 blood-robed guards ready to set off. Everyone is here. Let's take the teleportation array and set off directly to the headquarters of the Star Cloud sect, Star Cloud City, said Qin Nan. Night Sorrow and the others nodded. Fighting in the eastern Xian region's territory made Night Sorrow excited. He didn't feel any pressure. Under Qin Nan's lead, the group quickly teleported to the Star Cloud sect. In Star Cloud City, Night Sorrow and the others saw the busy side of the city. Many cultivators rode demonic beasts out of the city in teams. There were also riding teams whistling through the air. Get on your mounts. We're going to Broken Cloud Mountain, said Qin Nan. Following Qin Nan's words, everyone released their flying mounts. Qin Nan's body flashed and she landed on the back of Night Sorrow's Tianyu. Tianyu, who originally wanted to resist, continued flying after Night Sorrow communicated with him. This time, the Star Cloud sect is in a miserable state. One of their 2 supremacies died in battle, while the other was defeated and severely injured. Their foundation was destroyed. The Star Cloud sect is only a superpower now, but its strength is not enough to be a superpower, said Qin Nan. Z0 update hashtag new TV coming soon W unspecified currency. The situation is that serious? Asked Night Sorrow in surprise. Yes. If it weren't for the 2 elders of the eastern Xian city, the Star Cloud sect would have become history, said Qin Nan. Qin Nan then told Night Sorrow the news she received. The supremacies of the dark creatures were very strong. They were level 5 supremacies, dark spiritual corpses. The supremacies of the Star Cloud sect were no match for them. The supremacies who went forward were killed immediately. Chapter 422. Genius 1 second. Remember love divided by go divided by little? This is a wonderful novel for you to read. The 2 elders from Dongxian City had arrived in time and defeated the dark spiritual corpse. However, they hadn't killed it. They had only repelled it and saved the life of the star cloud sex venerable. Killing it is still a problem, Night Sorrow said. That fellow is smart. When the two elders from Dongxian City arrived, it felt that it couldn't handle them and ran away. It has a way of hiding its aura. It is currently hiding among the dark creatures. As long as it doesn't fight, no one can tell which is its true body, Qin Nan said. This is still a difficult situation to deal with. Night Sorrow said as he rubbed his forehead. Why do you care so much? You are going to kill the minions and clean up the battlefield. You are going to get rid of the dark creatures, Qin Nan said. The main danger is not being ambushed. If a level 5 venerable ambushes you, you will be killed instantly, Night Sorrow said. Don't you have protective bracelets? They can withstand 2 attacks from a venerable. That will give us time to rescue you, Qin Nan said. What about the other brothers of the Blood Strike Guard? Night Sorrow asked as he turned around and looked at the 30 members of the Blood Strike Guard. There is nothing we can do about it. However, the Dark Spiritual Corpse is not stupid. Even if it ambushes, it will target people with high combat strength and lethality. Its target is most likely the few of you. Love go little say, Chu, Qin Nan said. When the time comes, arrange for them to stay back. I don't want my brothers to be cannon fodder, Night Sorrow said. He didn't want to see the brothers who had fought side by side with him fall. Okay, you are the captain. You can arrange the battle as you see fit. In a while, take off your mask. Try not to reveal your identity as a member of Tianji Tower. It doesn't matter if they wear it, but you have a status in the City Lord's mansion. You need to communicate with them, Qin Nan said. She was secretly glad for the members of the Blood Strike Guard's 5th squad. Night Sorrow was a captain who knew how to think for his brothers. After half a day, the group finally arrived at Broken Cloud Mountain. Under Qin Nan's lead, they arrived at Dongxian City's camp. This was the camp of the Black Iron Guards of Dongxian City. There were 2 elders of Dongxian City. Upon seeing Qin Nan, the 2 elders of Dongxian City came forward to welcome him. ZWD, official Ha version. D+Y him. B both are CC robbers. Qin Nan was the great commander in the City Lord's mansion. His position was equivalent to that of an elder. Most importantly, Qin Nan was a person with real power. He was the City Lord's confidant. Then, Qin Nan introduced the 2 parties. One of them was Lu Zhenyu, and the other was Dai Tianxiang. Night Sorrow greets Elder Lu and Elder Dai. Night Sorrow greeted them. We've all heard of your name. You're young and promising. That's not bad, Dai Tianxiang said. Dai Changlao, you flatter me, Night Sorrow said. Night Sorrow, take your men and go set up camp. Elder Dai, inform the resource manager that their resources will be distributed according to the best standards, Qin Nan said to Dai Tianxiang. Night Sorrow then led his men to camp. Qin Nan and the 2 elders went to the largest tent in the middle. Commander Qin, Night Sorrow is young and promising. It would be fine if he were the captain of the Black Iron Guards. Isn't it inappropriate for him to be the captain of the Blood Strike Guard? Elder Lu said. Lu Zhenyu was an elder of Dongxian City. Many of the members of the Blood Strike Guard had been chosen by him. Therefore, he was worried that Night Sorrow wouldn't be able to lead the Blood Strike Guard Squad 5 well. They've fought in the Death Dimension a few times. Under Night Sorrow's leadership, no one was injured. This proves his ability. Most importantly, this is the City Lord's order, Qin Nan said. Dai Tianxiang and Lu Zhenyu nodded. They could give suggestions and ideas to Qin Nan, but they could only carry out Wu Lingfei's orders. Night Sorrow drank a pot of tea. After thinking for a moment, he took out his alchemy cauldron and refined some spirit-calming pills to distribute to the Blood Strike Guard. He hoped that everyone could reach the 5th rank as soon as possible. Night Sorrow's group rested for 3 days before going out to battle. They would fight alongside Dongxian City's Black Iron Guards. The Black Iron Guards were organized into squads of 30 people. Last time at Night Sorrow's residence, Lu Jun and the other two had led 3 squads, so there were nearly 100 people in total. This time, there were 5 squads of Black Iron Guards, as well as Night Sorrow's squad of Blood Strike Guards. One of the 5 squads of Black Iron Guards was led by Lu Jun. "Brother, we're going to fight together this time." Lu Jun waved to Night Sorrow when she saw Night Sorrow. "Let's kill the enemy together." Night Sorrow waved to Lu Jun. In addition to Dongxian City's troops, there were also Nebula Sect's disciples, numbering close to 1,000 people. Currently, Dongxian City's troops and Nebula Sect's disciples were blocking the dark creatures to the north of Broken Cloud Mountain. As long as the dark creatures attacked, they would fight back and return to Broken Cloud Mountain to set up camp, using it as a defensive line. Dongxian City's troops and Nebula Sect's troops didn't advance rashly. Before Qin Nan's arrival, Dongxian City's human camp only had 2 venerables. One of them wasn't a match for the dark spiritual corpse, so they didn't dare to advance rashly. Once the dark spiritual corpse attacked, they wouldn't be able to stop it. The dark spiritual corpse was a fatal threat to low-level cultivators. Therefore, Lu Jinyu and Dai Tianxiang could only steadily defend, not allowing the dark creatures to charge over. In addition, there were also people who went to Broken Cloud Mountain to investigate. It was Lei Hua. "Kill all the dark creatures that are charging over. Push the battle line 100 miles away." Dai Tianxiang shouted to the people who were going out to battle. Nebula Sect's strength had been greatly reduced, and its disciples were all under Dongxian City's command. The sect master of Nebula Sect, Zhao Xianguan, didn't have his own opinion. Everything he did was to follow Dongxian City's orders. Not to mention the crippled Nebula Sect, even the Nebula Sect at its peak had to obey the orders of Dongxian City's City Lord Mansion. Moreover, if Dongxian City's troops weren't here, the Nebula Sect would have fallen a long time ago. Night Sorrow released Tianyu and Silver Fox. He sheathed the sky-piercing spear at his waist and charged forward with the reincarnation spear. This was because he could already see the dark creatures in his line of sight. The dark creatures were charging towards Dongxian City's human defense line. "Remember, no one is allowed to charge in front of me," Night Sorrow said. Then, Night Sorrow began to charge forward. The other Black Iron Guards and the Nebula Sect's troops also began to charge forward. At this moment, Dai Tianxiang, Lu Jinyu, and Qin Nan were floating in the air, observing the battlefield. They wouldn't interfere in a battle between venerables. If human cultivators weren't a match for the dark creatures, it was because their skills were inferior. Venerables disdained to kill low-level dark creatures. This was also a training for Dongxian City's cultivators. Right now, they were paying attention to where the dark spirit corpse was hiding and whether it would attack human cultivators. Chapter 423. Genius remembers love in 1 second/small. We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Night Sorrow's group was the fastest. Like a sharp knife, they slaughtered their way into the group of dark creatures. Night Sorrow brandished his reincarnation spear. Every time he attacked, he used 5 spears in one. The body of the spear carried vibrating force to block while the spiraling force pierced through the dark creatures. None of the dark creatures below the 5th grade could withstand Night Sorrow's 7-star Brilliant Moon Spear. We have more confidence compared to fighting in the Death Domain. This is the territory of our Eastern Xian region. Kill! Night Sorrow shouted while brandishing his reincarnation spear. Kill! Following Night Sorrow's shout, over 30 people behind Night Sorrow shouted together. How dare you invade our territory? Kill! Night Sorrow shouted while charging forward. Kill! The blood-robed guards, Ho Jian, and the others shouted as well. I am invincible. Kill! Night Sorrow roared again after killing a dark liger with a wave of his hand. This battle intent and killing intent. They are on a completely different level compared to the other teams. Dai Tianxiang sighed with emotion. They killed a few times in the Death Domain. This battle is nothing. When they came out of the death domain, their clothes were all red. Just think about how intense their battle was. Qin Nan said. She was the one who trained the blood-robed guards. They were her pride. Under Knight Sorrow's lead, they fought with vigor. This made her very happy. The group led by Knight Sorrow charged into the group of dark creatures like a sharp knife. As Knight Sorrow brandished his reincarnation spear, the corpses of dark creatures were all around him. Ho Jian and the others were the same. All of them were filled with high battle intent. Captain, be careful. There is a big guy in front. I can't see its cultivation base. Ho Jian reminded Knight Sorrow. It's a level 5 5th grade dark zombie. 13. Retreat. Yang Lei's cultivation base was at the peak of the 2nd grade of the Void Inquiry stage. She saw the dark zombie's cultivation base. C8% positive, first post, why are you retreating? Kill. Yishang's feet trembled as he leaped into the air and charged towards the zombie. Is this guy crazy? Or is your brain muddled from all the killing? Dai Tianxiang, who was floating in the air, said somewhat excitedly. At this moment, Knight Sorrow's spear, which was imbued with shock energy, collided with the dark zombie's blade. Bang! With a muffled sound, Knight Sorrow's body was pushed back several zhang *3. 33 m per zhang. However, the Void Inquiry Stage 5th level dark zombie was also pushed back 20 zhang *3. 33 m per zhang, by Knight Sorrow's attack. Knight Sorrow roared at the Bloodstrike guards, Ho Jian, and the others before charging at the dark zombies once more. Clean up the battlefield. Knight Sorrow, who was using the soaring dragon steps, alternated between the energy of the myriad Dao treasure tome and his true chi. The 3 types of energy release techniques were constantly changing. He began to attack the Void Inquiry Stage 5th level zombie with his spear, completely suppressing it. However, because Knight Sorrow was attacking in a circle, the dark zombie could not retreat even though its body was trembling from Knight Sorrow's attacks and its tattered robes were flying all over the place. At this moment, Ho Jian's group of 4 and the Bloodstrike guards split into groups of 5 and charged in all directions, clearing a battlefield for Knight Sorrow so that he would not be disturbed. 9th Senior Sister, you guys go and bring up the rear too. Ho Jian looked at Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu who were in a daze and shouted. Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu's eyes were filled with astonishment. They knew that Knight Sorrow was very strong, but they did not expect that Knight Sorrow had already reached such a level where he could suppress a Void Inquiry Stage 5th level zombie. One should know that Knight Sorrow had just entered the Void Inquiry stage not long ago. Asterisk bang asterisk bang asterisk. The sounds of explosions caused by the collision between Knight Sorrow and the dark zombies could be heard continuously. Every time they collided, Knight Sorrow would be pushed back. The amount of energy in his body was much lower than that of the dark zombies. Because his body was stronger, even though he would be pushed back every time, Knight Sorrow could still pounce on him in an instant and continue attacking with his spear. What's going on? Since when can a Void Inquiry Stage expert be so strong? Dai Tianxiang could not believe his own eyes. His mouth was filled with astonishment. Love go little say W. Chu, how can the person appointed by the city lord be weak? Qin Nan's eyes were also filled with astonishment. She knew that Knight Sorrow had the ability to fight those with higher levels. However, it was really shocking for him to be able to withstand a Void Inquiry Stage 5th level dark zombies head-on even though he had just entered the Void Inquiry stage. Knight Sorrow felt that it was about time. After a violent spear attack, he activated his innate bloodline's secret technique and sent out a spatial crack. The spatial crack's ability to conceal itself was very strong. The dark zombie only noticed it when it reached its chest. It then raised its right arm to block the attack. There was no sound of explosions caused by the collision of energy. There was only a crisp sound. The right arm of the dark zombie was cut off by Knight Sorrow's spatial crack. At this moment, Knight Sorrow's spear, which contained vibrating force, was aimed at the dark zombie's chest. Since the dark zombie had lost its right arm, it could only raise its left arm to block the attack. Buzz **, the vibrating force on Night Sorrow's reincarnation spear exploded, making a strong vibrating sound. The dark zombie's left arm was blown away. However, the true chi on Night Sorrow's reincarnation spear was also neutralized. However, Night Sorrow's myriad Dao Tome unleashed its power. The reincarnation spear, which contained spiraling force, instantly pierced into the area below the dark zombie's neck. Night Sorrow swung his arm left and right, cutting off the dark zombie's neck along with its head. After cutting off the dark zombie's head, Night Sorrow swung his reincarnation spear and sliced its head open. Then, he reached out his left hand and grabbed the dark zombie's crystal core. Charge in a triangular formation. Ninth senior sister, Chuyu, you two aren't familiar with the coordination of the team. Go to the back first. Night Sorrow gave the order. With a leap, he arrived at the front of the team and became the sharp blade of the team. Then, he continued to charge forward. That's it? With just a Void Inquiry stage cultivation base, he killed a 5th level Void Inquiry stage zombie without suffering any casualties. Has the world changed? Lu Jinyu said in surprise. It's definitely not the first time such a battle has taken place. Other than him fighting against the dark zombie, the other members of this small team also cooperated very well. There was no chaos at all and they were very organized. They are too experienced. Especially the scene where he grabbed the crystal core. He must have done it many times. That's why he could do it so naturally. Dai Tianxiang said. Night Sorrow's team continued to charge forward. Invincible and unrivaled, kill. Night Sorrow roared as he advanced. Kill. Following Night Sorrow's roar, the blood-robed guards, Ho Jian and the others also roared angrily. He's too beastly. Lu Jun, who was not far away, muttered in a low voice. Originally, when she saw a 5th level Void Inquiry stage dark zombie appear in Night Sorrow's team, Lu Jun wanted to come over and help. However, the dark zombie had already turned into a crystal core. The team led by Night Sorrow was at the front. They also killed the most dark creatures. Behind the small team were densely packed corpses of the dark creatures. The combat boots of Night Sorrow and the others were also dyed red with blood. All of a sudden, Night Sorrow found that he could not move. His body was bound. Retreat. Retreat at full speed. Don't worry about me. Night Sorrow shouted. He knew what was going on. They were being ambushed by the dark spirit zombies. Spatial binding was a technique of venerable realm experts. Even a peak 5th level expert would not be able to use it. The moment he shouted to retreat, Night Sorrow circulated his true chi and activated the ice silk soft clothes. He did not activate the protection bracelet. He felt that the ice silk soft clothes activated by his 5th level true chi would not have a problem blocking one attack. After all, the protection bracelet was a one-time use item. It would be depleted once it was used. Chapter 424. Genius 1 second. Remember love go/little. We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Bang! With a loud explosion, Yishang's body was sent flying. The silver armor and robes on Yisoro's body were shattered, leaving behind only the ice silk robes that were emitting light. Because this energy had struck his chest, it did not leave him naked, and it did not make him look too ugly. Night Sorrow spat out a mouthful of blood after being sent flying. However, he also noticed the target of the attack. It was a short and unremarkable dark zombie. After attacking Night Sorrow, its aura changed and it became a dark spiritual corpse that was 3.5 meters tall. It couldn't hide anymore because the dark creatures around it were all killed by Qin Nan. Bastard! What kind of sovereign are you? Night Sorrow waved his hand and threw out the sky-piercing spear without ice dragon tendons. At this moment, Night Sorrow, who was still in the air, and the sky-piercing spear, which had just shot out 6 meters, came to a stop. They were once again locked in the air by the Dark Spirit Corpse's spatial imprisonment. Then, the Dark Zombie attacked Night Sorrow for the second time. Just as Night Sorrow was about to activate his bracelet, Qin Nan appeared in front of Night Sorrow and attacked the Dark Zombie. At this moment, Night Sorrow and the sky-piercing spear landed on the ground. Ho Jian and the Blood Strike Guards also arrived behind Night Sorrow. Ho Jian reached out and helped Night Sorrow steady. Nan Liue picked up the sky-piercing spear and handed it to Night Sorrow. Bastard. Shameless. Lei Bao cursed. At the same time, he looked up at the battle between the sovereigns in the air. At this moment, the Dark Zombie was being suppressed by Qin Nan. It kept pressing towards the dark creatures. The battle between the human and the zombie was very explosive. Energy splashed everywhere and many dark creatures were killed by the energy. 13. Are you alright? Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu came to Night Sorrow's side. I'm fine. Fortunately, I have my treasured clothes. Otherwise, I would have died. Night Sorrow took out a battle robe and put it on. Let's go to KVS, you can't be so reckless. That's a dark spiritual corpse, a mid-level venerable. If you can't handle it, you can activate your protective bracelet. Sikong Chuyu said worriedly as she helped Yishang tidy up his clothes. Night Sorrow smiled. Then, he looked at the Blood Strike Guards who were fighting in all directions to protect him. Only then did he feel at ease. It's nothing. That bracelet should only be used at a crucial moment. It's to save my life. If it hadn't reached rank 5, Yishang wouldn't have hesitated to activate the bracelet because he knew that this dark spiritual corpse's rank was high. After entering the rank 5 void inquiry stage, the defensive effect of the ice silkworm soft clothes increased. Night Sorrow wanted to test its strength. Anyway, he knew that Qin Nan would not give the dark zombie many chances to attack him. At this moment, the dark creatures seemed to have received an order and retreated. At the same time, the humans of the eastern Xian region also gave the order to retreat. Night Sorrow returned to his tent under the protection of the Blood Strike Guards, Ho Jian and the others. Night Sorrow looked fine. However, after receiving an attack from a rank 5 venerable, his true qi and blood qi were slightly shaken. After returning to his tent, Night Sorrow ate a healing pill and began to heal himself. Dai Tianxiang and Lu Zhenyu who came to visit did not disturb him. After cultivating for half a day and a night, Night Sorrow felt that he had almost recovered. At this moment, Qin Nan, Dai Tianxiang, Lu Zhenyu and the sect leader of the Star Cloud sect, Zhao Xianguan, came over. Night Sorrow, are you alright? Qin Nan asked. I'm fine. It's a pity that the silver soft armor. It's the third set that I broke. Night Sorrow said with a little embarrassment. Don't worry. This is the true value of the silver star soft armor. What's the use of wearing it if it can't protect you? Qin Nan said. Captain Knight, this is a token of appreciation from the Star Cloud sect. Please accept it. Zhao Xianguan took out a jade bottle and handed it to Night Sorrow. There's no need for this. I'm fighting for the eastern Xian region. Night Sorrow said. He did not have a good impression of the Star Cloud sect. I'm sorry for what happened in the past. It's a mistake on the part of the Star Cloud sect. This kind of thing will not happen again. I also want to thank Captain Knight for disregarding the past and coming to help us. Zhao Xianguan cupped his fists and said. Zhao Xianguan's attitude was very humble. Firstly, in terms of status, Night Sorrow's identity as a law enforcement officer of the eastern Xian city was not inferior to his. In terms of cultivation base, his late void inquiry stage cultivation base was indeed stronger than Night Sorrow. However, Night Sorrow's potential was huge. If Night Sorrow's cultivation base were to increase slightly, he would not be a match for him at all. Night Sorrow, let bygones be bygones. The current Star Cloud sect is not worth your attention. Qin Nan said. Her words were very direct and she did not care about Zhao Xianguan's face. Not to mention the current Star Cloud sect, she did not even care about the star cloud sect when it was at its peak. As long as the star cloud sect doesn't target the Medicine Valley, I won't say anything. Otherwise, after the war is over, I will still come and settle the score with you. Night Sorrow glanced at Zhao Xianguan and said, "That won't happen. The star cloud sect is not unreasonable." Zhao Xianguan said, "Then it's nothing. After all, it's an eventful period. We should focus on how to deal with the dark creatures. Commander Qin, how's the situation on your side?" Night Sorrow asked. "I'm sorry to disappoint you. That creature's strength is ordinary, but it's very good at escaping. Although I've severely injured it, it still managed to escape." Qin Nan said with slight annoyance. "Then what's the plan for the next battle?" Night Sorrow asked. "Our men will continue to push forward and kill the dark creatures. At the same time, our venerables will keep an eye on it. If it doesn't appear, then we will continue to hunt it down. If it doesn't appear, then we will eliminate the low-level dark creatures." Qin Nan said. "Okay. Then let's continue to kill." Night Sorrow stood up and said, "You don't have to fight today. Recuperate well. Later, I will ask the resource manager to send you the Silver Star soft armor. As long as you wear it, the City Lord Mansion will give you another one." Qin Nan said, "I have to fight with them. Otherwise, I won't be at ease." Night Sorrow said, "That's fine. You can follow but you can't fight." Qin Nan thought for a moment and said. She knew how Night Sorrow felt. She was also a commander. Then, Qin Nan and the others left. Following that, an old man came to give Night Sorrow another set of soft armor. With Sikong Chuyu's help, Night Sorrow put on the silver armor. "Someone will give me the silver armor. After a few more battles, I won't even have a robe to wear." "You don't cherish yourself at all. You have to know that you still have the two of us. Besides not having a wedding ceremony, we are no different from your wives." Yang Lei said. Night Sorrow nodded. "I will pay attention. Actually, I have the confidence to protect myself. If Commander Qin doesn't intercept me in time, I will activate the protective bracelet. Keeping the bracelet is to protect my life in the future." Then, the eastern Xian region's men gathered again and advanced towards Broken Cloud Mountain. The members of the Blood Strike Guard, Ho Jian, and the others surrounded Night Sorrow. Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu were responsible for protecting Night Sorrow while the others attacked. Night Sorrow knew that he would be fine. However, he enjoyed the feeling of being protected by his brothers. Chapter 425. A Genius Remembers Love in 1 Second? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. The battle continued. Night Sorrow's team was at the forefront. Although Night Sorrow didn't make a move, this team was the strongest in terms of combat power, and their teamwork was also the best. Night Sorrow's injuries had not fully healed, but he still had the ability to fight. It was just that his blood energy was not very smooth. Now that he was being protected, he did not really participate in the battle. He only used his soul power to cover the area in front of him. The dark zombies were already very intelligent, not to mention the dark spirit corpse. Its intelligence was no different from a human's because it had already awakened the memories of its previous life. In addition, due to the influence of the death attribute, its personality was even more cunning and sinister. More than 10 teams advanced, leaving behind the corpses of dark creatures. "Commander Qin, come quickly. Everyone, retreat." Night Sorrow shouted and stood at the front of the group. Night Sorrow's soul power covered the area in front of him. One of the dark zombies made Night Sorrow feel unusual. He was familiar with its aura. Then he remembered that it was the aura of the dark zombie that ambushed him. This was the result of being bombed. Hearing Night Sorrow's roar, Qin Nan flew towards Night Sorrow. However, Night Sorrow was once again restrained by spatial shackles. Update F new W fastest M up /HV, retreat. Night Sorrow shouted again. Then, he activated the bracelet on his wrist. He didn't want to add to his injuries, which would make it harder for him to recover. With the stimulation of Night Sorrow's true chi, energy fluctuations appeared on his body, squeezing out the energy binding, turning into an oval-shaped energy shield. With a muffled sound, Night Sorrow, who was protected by an energy shield, was sent flying. At this moment, Qin Nan came and started fighting with the Dark Spirit Corpse again. However, the Dark Spirit Zombie did not want to fight Qin Nan head-on. It fought while retreating towards the group of dark creatures. Night Sorrow had the urge to curse. This Dark Spirit Corpse was really shameless, wanting to kill him. If it wasn't for the protective bracelet, Night Sorrow would have suffered. Although he wouldn't be killed, he would definitely be seriously injured. Dai Tianxiang went to Night Sorrow's side. Lu Zhenyu and Qin Nan started to chase after the Dark Spirit Corpse. Night Sorrow, how are you? Sikong Chuyu and Yang Lei came to Night Sorrow's side. I'm fine, but it's a big loss. The bracelet is like a life. Night Sorrow's wrist was empty. The bracelet had already been destroyed. It's fine as long as you're fine. We can talk about other things later. I still have a protective bracelet here. Yang Lei said and took off the bracelet on her wrist. Don't, I still have other ways to save my life. This one is very important. Night Sorrow quickly stopped Yang Lei. I'll think of a way for you. We don't have a protective bracelet, but we have other protective treasures. I'll think of a way for you. Dai Tianxiang said. All right. I believe you, Elder Dai. Night Sorrow said with a smile. I won't lie about this. I'll think of a way for you. Dai Tianxiang was stunned by Night Sorrow's words. Normally, Night Sorrow would say that he didn't need it and thank him for his kindness. However, Night Sorrow didn't play by the rules. Dai Tianxiang then ordered the team to continue advancing and kill as many as they could. An hour later, Qin Nan and Lu Zhenyu returned. Lu Zhenyu's face was pale. What's the situation? Dai Tianxiang asked. There's a change in the situation. It's not just a single supreme-level Dark Spirit Corpse. They're afraid of Commander Qin, so they attacked me together. If not for Commander Qin, I wouldn't have been able to return today. Lu Zhenyu said angrily. Love go little say W. Chu, how many supreme-level Dark Spirit Corpses? Dai Tianxiang asked. 3. The main thing is that they have a unique skill. Once the death energy spreads out, it covers a large area. Then, they turn into clones and escape. After a few times, we couldn't even see their shadows. Qin Nan said. Our attributes are suppressed by the death energy. Before we can investigate them clearly, they've already escaped. Lu Zhenyu said. I suspect that these Dark Spirit Corpses are organized. They have the same unique skill to escape. It should be similar to clones and a battle skill. If we don't solve this problem, it'll be hard for us to kill them. Qin Nan said. How about this? We'll defend first and wait for the Enforcement Elder to return. We'll see what tactics are suitable. Dai Tianxiang said. The Enforcement Elder he was talking about was Lei Hua. In the City Lord's mansion, the Enforcement Elder and the Guardian Elder had the highest status. Lei Hua was the Enforcement Elder. Then, the group retreated to the campsite. Captain, you're too unlucky. You've been attacked by the Dark Spirit Corpses continuously. You're really attractive, Lei Bao said. You bastard. If it wasn't for the captain blocking at the front, do you think you'd be alive? Ho Jian waved his hand and punched Lei Bao's shoulder. Thank you, Captain. Lei Bao nodded at Night Sorrow. You're welcome. I'm willing to exchange some injuries for the safety of my brothers. I'm willing to accept this bad luck. Night Sorrow said with a smile. Thank you, Captain. The members of the Blood Strike Guard also shouted. They're lucky to be following you. Qin Nan glanced at the group behind Night Sorrow and said. Then, the group began to rest. The injured healed, and the uninjured sat down to recover. The three venerables of the eastern Xian region were stationed around the campsite. They were worried that the dark spirit corpses would launch a sneak attack on the campsite. Night Sorrow also began to meditate and heal. He wasn't injured today, but he hadn't recovered from the injuries from last time. There were no battles for the next 2 days. The main reason was that Qin Nan and the other two didn't want the eastern Xian region to suffer any losses. The appearance of three venerables made the situation even more serious. If they rashly went out and couldn't stop the enemy's venerables, the consequences would be unimaginable. Qin Nan also sent people back to eastern Xian City to gather the commanders of the Blood Strike Guard and Black Iron Guard. At the same time, he reported the situation to the Guardian Elder so that he could ask Wu Lingfei what to do. After Night Sorrow fully recovered, the three commanders of the Blood Strike Guard arrived. As for the commander of the Black Iron Guard, he had already gone to the Dark Island. After the three commanders arrived, the eastern Xian region prepared for a big battle. Their strength was already overwhelming, so there was no point in continuing the confrontation. After a few higher-ups of the eastern Xian region had a meeting, Ardent Wind found Night Sorrow. After drinking a jar of wine, Ardent Wind took out a set of silver soft armor. A different soft armor had a soaring golden king bird on it. Night Sorrow couldn't recognize what kind of bird it was, but he could feel its contemptuous gaze and aura. "Is this for me?" Night Sorrow asked. "Brother, if it's not for you, why would I take it out? To show off? The city lord gave it to the Guardian Elder to deliver to you. It should be called the Golden Phoenix Soft Armor. You can study it yourself." Ardent Wind smiled and left Night Sorrow's tent. Yi Shang opened the Golden Phoenix Soft Armor and stretched out his hand to feel the cool sensation coming from it. Chapter 426. Genius 1 second. Remember love go divided by Shao. We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Aunt Fei. Night Sorrow greeted her with some surprise. Baidu search AI go female sign Shao say www.aichuxs.com. Well, this is only Aunt Fei's soul imprint. It won't exist for too long. You won't be able to recognize the owner of this armor. It's still the same. You need Aunt Fei to recognize you as the owner. After Wu Lingfei finished speaking, the arm of the illusory figure cut Night Sorrow's arm. A stream of blood floated down Wu Lingfei's arm and entered the Golden Phoenix Soft Armor. At this time, the Golden Phoenix Soft Armor began to emit light. The light became brighter and brighter. After a while, the light weakened. The Golden Phoenix Soft Armor will not shatter. There is only one possibility for it to shatter. You will understand in the future. Although it will not shatter, it can only resist part of the energy that invades. If the energy is too strong, it will not be able to resist. You still have to pay attention to your safety. After speaking, Wu Lingfei's illusory figure dissipated. The dissipated energy also entered the Golden Phoenix Soft Armor. After receiving this energy, the Golden Phoenix Soft Armor changed again. The Golden King bird on it began to shine. It wanted to take off, as if it had a soul. At this time, Night Sorrow and the Golden Phoenix Soft Armor had a connection. With Night Sorrow's communication and the vibration of the energy in his body, the Golden Phoenix Soft Armor flew from the table and disintegrated. It then flew back to Night Sorrow's body and fastened tightly on Night Sorrow's body. At this time, the energy on the Golden Phoenix Soft Armor flowed. After feeling it, Night Sorrow's body shook. The Golden Phoenix Soft Armor turned into a half-foot-long shoulder guard and fastened on Night Sorrow's shoulder. "Why did you take it off? The Golden Phoenix Soft Armor is so beautiful," Yang Lei said. "I don't want to, but supporting the Golden Phoenix Soft Armor requires a lot of Zhenqi. I can't bear it," Night Sorrow said with a wry smile. He did not say that supporting the Golden Phoenix Soft Armor required the support of soul power. he could only support it for a while. In other words, he could block a few attacks at a critical time. Mistress K is really taking care of you. She doesn't call you concubine for nothing. She really treats you as a junior. Sikong Chuyu said with some emotion. At this time, as long as one was not a fool, they would know that this golden phoenix flexible armor was also a spiritual artifact. It's really beautiful. Yang Lei looked at the golden phoenix soft armor and smiled, reaching out to touch it. Wang. The golden phoenix soft armor vibrated and directly shook Yang Lei back. After taking a few steps back, Yang Lei steadied herself. What's going on? I haven't even touched it yet. The golden phoenix soft armor has an artifact spirit. I can only feel its existence when I use it. I don't know what's going on right now. I guess it's a self-protective consciousness, Night Sorrow said. Shaking his shoulders, Night Sorrow looked at the shoulder pads again. He felt that this golden phoenix flexible armor had a secret. This was his intuition. The golden phoenix flexible armor had an artifact spirit. He did not have much communication with the artifact spirit, but he could use it perfectly. After resting for a while, everyone gathered, but they didn't go out to battle. P Song 7 Hervit was Lei Hua who came back and stopped them from going out to battle. Afterward, the upper echelons of the Eastern Xian region held another meeting to discuss countermeasures because Lei Hua brought back some information. Night Sorrow and the others weren't qualified to participate in the meeting, so they drank and waited in the tent. An hour later, Lei Hua and Qin Nan arrived at Night Sorrow's tent. Dai Tianxiang and Lu Zhenyu went to arrange other things. You're not going out to battle? Night Sorrow asked. Yes, we can't. Lei Hua sighed. Then, Lei Hua told him what he had found out. River Ocean City had fallen. After passing River Ocean City, Lei Hua scouted the coastline of the Realm's Sea and found a spatial tunnel. Death energy was gushing out from it, and dark creatures were constantly appearing. This wasn't the main reason why the Eastern Xian region was in a passive position. The spatial tunnel's nature was very disgusting. The spatial tunnel gushed with death energy, and dark creatures could enter and leave without a problem. However, cultivators of other attributes couldn't enter except for death energy. Lei Hua had tested it on ordinary demonic beasts. The spatial tunnel rejected all attributes except death energy. As long as other attributes appeared, it would directly crush them. Can't your protective energy withstand it? Ho Jian asked. It can't. Low-level cultivators can't withstand the crushing death energy. High-level cultivators will be suppressed by the laws, and their spirit sea will be destroyed, Lei Hua explained. Then we won't go in. Let's kill all the dark creatures outside and then defend the entrance, Nan Liu said. The spatial tunnel doesn't reject death energy. The dark spirit corpses can enter and exit as they wish. How are we going to fight? If we suppress the spatial tunnel, what if the dark spirit corpses come out and launch a sneak attack? A dark spirit corpse can kill a group of low-level cultivators on our side even if it's injured, Lei Hua said hatefully. Night Sorrow and the others didn't say anything. The spatial tunnel's nature was too unfair. It put the Eastern Xian region and the Death Domain at a completely different starting point. The only thing we can do now is to guard the Broken Cloud Mountain and report to the Lord to see how to deal with it. I don't have any other ideas now, Lei Hua said with a sigh. If it was a head-on battle, Lei Hua wouldn't be afraid. However, the situation was too unfavorable. He had fought with the dark spirit corpses before. Just when he was about to kill them, the dark spirit stone ran back to the Death Domain. Without absolute strength, it was impossible to kill them. Then, there was silence. No one had a solution. Senior, is this spatial tunnel the same as the Death Domain of the Dark Island? Night Sorrow asked. Now that the Dark Island was a hidden worry, Night Sorrow was very worried that this spatial tunnel wasn't the same. Then, the problem would be even more difficult to solve. Looking at the energy analysis, it's the same spatial tunnel. The types of dark creatures are also similar. If we're unlucky, there will be two of them. There are many dark spirit corpses in this spatial tunnel. The exact number is unknown. Most importantly, there are no conflicts between them. This means that they should have received orders. There should be a commander above them, Lei Hua said while rubbing his forehead. Knight Sorrow's heart trembled. To be able to make a venerable rank dark spirit corpse obey, it could only be an expert stronger than them. You guys go back. Go back and rest for a while before coming back. It has been very tiring to fight under such high pressure. Also, tell the Lord about the situation and see how to arrange it. I can't leave this place right now because there is a very strong dark spirit corpse. If I leave, the others will find it hard to hold on. Lei Hua said. Lei Hua didn't want Knight Sorrow and the others to be ambushed by the dark spirit corpse. He and Qin Nan had already planned to kill the dark spirit corpse. Therefore, he was worried that the dark spirit corpse would do the same. Knight Sorrow nodded. He knew that the current situation was very difficult to determine victory or defeat. It would be very difficult for the dark creatures to attack. After all, there were many venerables from the Eastern Xian region. If the Eastern Xian region wanted to win, they would have to solve some problems. Bring your subordinates back to rest. Pack up and leave, Lei Hua said to Knight Sorrow. Chapter 427. Geniuses remember love in 1 second? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Following which, Knight Sorrow led Yang Lei, Sikong Chuyu, and Ho Jian, as well as the members of the Blood Strike Guard, back to Starcloud City on their flying mounts. 13. The current situation is very bad. What kind of situation is this? I can't calm down, Yang Lei said. Auntie Fei said that this is a sign of chaos, but it doesn't matter. The Eastern Xian region isn't a place where the dark creatures can take over. Currently, only the subordinates of the City Lord's mansion are taking action. If Tianji Tower and the other superpowers take action, the dark creatures will definitely be annihilated. The main problem is the root of the problem. If we don't deal with the root of the problem, it will always be troublesome, Knight Sorrow said. You're quite open-minded, but it does make sense. No one can watch the Eastern Xian region fall. Although Tianji Tower is a force spread across the 9 regions and 18 states, the Eastern Xian region is also the hometown of many of its members, Yang Lei nodded. If there's a battle, we'll fight. If there's no battle, we'll rest and cultivate. Don't think too much about it, Sikong Chuyu said. Yi Shang nodded and didn't think about it any further. It took a day for the group to reach Starcloud City. When they arrived at the teleportation array, they teleported to Dongxian City. The Starcloud sect didn't charge the teleportation array because everyone who came to this area was here to fight the dark creatures. They were all here to help the Starcloud sect. Naturally, they couldn't charge the teleportation array. After returning to Dongxian City, Knight Sorrow led the Blood Strike Guard to a restaurant. After eating and drinking, he had them return to the City Lord's mansion to rest. Yi Shang planned to expand the residence. However, it was very difficult to expand Qing Xian Cottage. If he wanted to expand, he would have to buy the residences on both sides of Qing Xian Cottage. He planned to do this later. There was nothing that couldn't be done without crystal stones. He didn't lack crystal stones now. Knight Sorrow asked Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu to take Ho Jian and the others to Qingxin Villa to rest, while he drove Tianyu to Tianji Tower. On the top floor of Tianji Tower, Knight Sorrow saw Yin Shui. Knight Sorrow, you're back. How's the situation over there? Silver Snow asked. Yi Shan then told him about the situation at Broken Cloud Mountain of Starcloud sect. The situation is really serious. Law enforcement elder Ho Yuan has gone to the Dark Island. I have to stay here and report this situation to Lord K, Yin Shui said. Then I'll go see the branch master. Knight Sorrow bowed to Yin Shui and drove Tianyu away from Tianji Tower. Yin Shui was stunned. In Tianji Tower, unless the branch master showed himself, only Lei Hua could contact him. However, now that Knight Sorrow said that he was going to see the branch master, How could Yin Shui not be surprised? In the mountains north of Dongxian City, Yishang saw Wu Lingfei meditating and cultivating. Night Sorrow then told Wu Lingfei about the situation at Broken Cloud Mountain. This kind of situation is very helpless. Every space is a manifestation of the heavenly Tao and has a sense of self-preservation. The rules of the space passage should be in accordance with the heavenly Tao's trajectory. Wu Lingfei said. That's too unfair to our 9-domain world, Night Sorrow said. Some things can't be explained clearly. After all, the 9-domain world is broken and some of the rules are not complete. You don't have to worry. If they really have the strength, they will directly push in. They are not pushing in now because they don't have the confidence. Wu Lingfei sneered. Then I understand. Night Sorrow nodded. This is actually nothing. Every period and every era will have some turbulence. It's just that it's not that serious. If it's not serious, it's just a small episode. If it's serious, it's a chaotic world. Love Go Little Say Network, Chu Wu Lingfei shook her head and said. Then what should we do now? Night Sorrow asked. Either defend or violently sweep through that space. Aunt Fei will send a message. You don't have to worry about it. Go back and rest for a while, Wu Lingfei said. Night Sorrow nodded. He knew that he couldn't do anything about it. Aunt Fei, I know this is your protective spirit treasure. I can't accept it. It will affect your combat strength, Night Sorrow said after controlling the Golden Phoenix soft armor. Take it. You are right. This is my protective spirit treasure, but it's not my main body. Wu Lingfei waved her arm and an identical Golden Phoenix soft armor appeared on her body. What's going on? Night Sorrow looked at Wu Lingfei in surprise. He didn't understand what was going on. After Aunt Fei's protective spirit treasure evolved, it produced a secondary body. You are wearing the secondary body, so you don't have to worry about Aunt Fei's safety and combat strength. Although the situation is chaotic, it is still under Aunt Fei's control. Later, Aunt Fei can send some people from the City Lord's mansion and Tianji Tower. In fact, Aunt Fei can solve these problems now, but she doesn't want to delay her future because of this. Wu Lingfei looked at the Life Saint crystal in her hand, which had shrunk a lot. Aunt Fei can send people from Tianji Tower, but it's not easy to talk to the City Lord's mansion, Night Sorrow said. Haha. There are some things that Aunt Fei didn't tell you. Aunt Fei is not only the owner of Tianji Tower, but also the City Lord of Eastern Xian City. Therefore, Aunt Fei can control the situation in Eastern Xian region, Wu Lingfei said with a smile. Night Sorrow was stunned. He used to think that Qin Nan was giving face to Tianji Tower, but now he understood that it wasn't the case. Okay, go. It's not a big deal. You can go back and rest. Wu Lingfei nodded to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow exhaled and suddenly felt very relieved. He took out 2 jars of wine and left them for Wu Lingfei. Then, he rode his Tianyu to the City Lord's mansion. In the City Lord's mansion, Night Sorrow saw Jing Cheng and Steward Lin. Night Sorrow came to find Steward Lin. Night Sorrow is here. We know about your situation on the Island of Darkness. You're ruthless. What business do you have in the City Lord's mansion? Jing Cheng asked. I'm here to find someone with a lot of face to help me with something. I'll have to trouble Steward Lin with this matter, Night Sorrow said. What's the matter? Enforcer Knight, just say it, Steward Lin said. It's like this. I want to buy a house on both sides of my residence. We won't bully people. I can pay a high price, even if they raise the price, Night Sorrow said. K only BC dollar unspecified currency genuine, OND, all. Is T pirated due, Steward Lin and I will help you with this matter. However, you already have a house. Why do you still want to buy one? Lu Zhenyu appeared. He came back to communicate with the Guardian Elder and happened to hear Night Sorrow's words. Aren't I leading a team of guards? If the house is bigger and has a martial arts arena, it will be more convenient to give them some space, Night Sorrow said. It's like this. After I'm done with some things, I'll help you with it. You go ahead. I still have things to deal with. Lu Jinyu said and entered the city lord's mansion. Chapter 428. Genius 1 second. Remember love go divided by Shao. We provide you with wonderful novels to read. After returning to Qingxin Villa, Night Sorrow found that a sumptuous feast had been prepared, but Ho Jian and the others were not there. Baidu search AI go female sign Shao say www.aichuxs. Xiaom. After asking, Night Sorrow found out that they had taken the teleportation array back to their sect. They had not returned to their sect for a long time, so they had to go back and report the situation. Is everything done? Yang Lei asked. It's done. Let's drink. Next, we will cultivate and rest peacefully. Don't worry about anything else. This is such a big matter. It's not our turn to worry about it. Night Sorrow sat down and said with a smile. It seems like someone has reassured you. Otherwise, you wouldn't be so calm. Sikong Chuyu said with a smile. Yes, someone is handling these matters. Auntie Fei said that she would send people from Tianji Tower and the city lord's mansion to deal with these matters. Night Sorrow said. It's not a problem for her to send people from Tianji Tower. The city lord's mansion is just giving face. Would they listen to her? Yang Lei shook her head. I used to think so too. But after I learned more about the situation, I understood a lot. Auntie Fei is actually the city lord of Dongxian City. Otherwise, why would Commander Qin Nan be so respectful to her? This also explains why the city lord's mansion of Dongxian City appeared when Medicine Valley and Golden Flame sect were fighting. Night Sorrow said. So that's the case. They have helped us many times. It's just that we didn't know about it. Sikong Chuyu said with some emotion. Yes. Otherwise, Golden Flame sect's teleportation array and Golden Flame Palace wouldn't have fallen into the hands of Medicine Valley so easily. Yang Lei also sighed. This was something that they had never thought of. It can be said that Aunt Fei controls most of the power in the Eastern Xian domain. If she can mobilize all of them, then the situation in the Star Cloud sect is nothing. Night Sorrow said after drinking a mouthful of wine. After the three of them had a hearty drink, Night Sorrow let Tianyu and Silver Fox out and let them play in the garden and yard. Silver Fox's potential is very terrifying. After awakening his bloodline, he entered the 5th level of the core condensation realm and is not far from the 6th level. His future combat strength is beyond doubt, Sikong Chuyu said. Let nature take its course. Recently, I plan to study alchemy and refine some Tier 5 pills. We are all Tier 5, so we can't do without Tier 5 pills. Night Sorrow said. Forever J exempt $$ fee, look, small L says 1. After staying for a while, Yang Lei went to rest. When she left, she smiled maliciously at Sikong Chuyu. Sikong Chuyu was very smart. How could he not know what was going on? The three of them hadn't been alone for a long time. Moreover, she and Yang Lei knew that Night Sorrow had cultivated the outer part of the myriad Tao Tome. After staying for a while, Night Sorrow and Sikong Chuyu returned to the main building. Night Sorrow, I suddenly feel a little nervous. Did you change? Sikong Chuyu asked with a red face. It's just a little bit, it's fine. Yi Shang said as he sat beside Sikong Chuyu. Okay, if I stick my head out, then I'll be cut. It's not just my problem. Sikong Chuyu also gained some courage and hugged Yi Shang after she finished speaking. After hugging for a while, Night Sorrow carried Sikong Chuyu to the bed. Then, he gently untied Sikong Chuyu's skirt and covered Sikong Chuyu with a blanket. Then, he untied his battle robe and got into bed. The two of them hugged. Sikong Chuyu hesitated for a while. Then, he mustered his courage and reached out to touch Night Sorrow. Ah! This is a little change. Sikong Chuyu punched Night Sorrow's chest with his fist. I didn't want to. I just cultivated the outer part of the myriad Tao tome. Because he had enough blood and chi, he changed a little. Night Sorrow smiled and pushed Sikong Chuyu down. Then, he leaned over and pressed himself on top of him. Ah. It hurts. You're going to kill me. Slow down. Sikong Chuyu cried out because it was beyond what she could bear. Then, Night Sorrow became gentle. He would not ignore other people's feelings just because he wanted to. The two of them worked together for a long time before they merged perfectly. Yi Shang, you finished cultivating, right? If you change again, you'll have to go through it alone. Sikong Chuyu said as she bit Night Sorrow's ear while feeling the pain that almost tore her apart. I'm done cultivating. I won't change anymore. Night Sorrow smiled and began to move. Slowly, Sikong Chuyu got used to it. This time, the two of them struggled for a long time before they finished. Night Sorrow carried Sikong Chuyu, who was weak all over, and took a shower before returning to bed. We finally passed this stage. I'm tired. Hug me and rest. Sikong Chuyu said as she rested her head on Night Sorrow's arm. Night Sorrow smiled and kissed Sikong Chuyu's forehead. Then, he hugged Sikong Chuyu's waist and the two of them really began to sleep. The two of them woke up at daybreak. Sikong Chuyu helped Yi Shang tidy up his robe and tidied up her skirt. To be honest, I slept very soundly after all this. She said this as she helped Yi Shang fix up his robe. Thank you for your hard work. I really didn't mean it. Night Sorrow said apologetically. He knew that he had changed a lot. Sikong Chuyu could barely endure last night. Don't think too much. Didn't we pass last night? It shouldn't be so difficult in the future. Sikong Chuyu held Night Sorrow's hand and said. After washing up, Night Sorrow went to the courtyard to practice spear arts. Sikong Chuyu sat at the side and watched. At this moment, she was like a little girl. Then, Yang Lei came over. Chuyu, your face is rosy. It's obvious that you've been nourished by rain and dew. Yeah. Ninth senior sister, are you worried? Sikong Chuyu was now more relaxed. They were all family, so she didn't mind. Oh my god. Is this still you? Yang Lei looked at Sikong Chuyu in surprise. Then, she looked at Night Sorrow who was practicing spear arts. You ran so fast yesterday, and now you're bullying me. Sikong Chuyu looked at Yang Lei and said. You're the first woman that 13 likes. You're the boss, so I have to be modest. Yang Lei said. She was joking, but she was also serious. She had always done this. Ninth senior sister, don't say that. It's just a joke. Sikong Chuyu quickly said. She naturally understood the meaning of Yang Lei's words. What are you two talking about? In a while, accompany me to buy some supplementary materials. Then, I'll come back and try to refine pills. I'll see if I can refine the Clear Void pill and Great Void pill. Night Sorrow said as he put away his reincarnation spear. Then let's go now. We also want to buy some robes. Yang Lei said. We must buy the robes. Other than the 2 robes that ninth senior sister made with top quality silk, I only have this one left. If it's destroyed, I'll be naked. Night Sorrow said with a smile. Then let's go. Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu stood up and pulled Night Sorrow outside. Chapter 429. A genius remembers love in 1 second? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. The one on the left is small, but the price is a bit higher. After all, no one wants to move, so it's 40 top-grade crystal stones. The one on the right is the mansion of an elder of the Thunder Rumbling sect. He heard that you want to buy it, so he also wants 40 top-grade crystal stones. He's a bit of a loss at this price. What do you think? Lu Jinyu said. Since he's giving me face, I'll accept it. I can't let him suffer a loss. What's the normal price? Night Sorrow looked at Manager Lin and asked. The normal price should be 60 top-grade crystals, which is still priceless, Steward Lin said. How about this? We'll give you 80 top-grade crystals. If the one on the left wants a high price, we won't make it up. Night Sorrow said. This was his character. He didn't like to take advantage of others, but he didn't want anyone to take advantage of him. Sure. If that's the case, we'll still be friends. Lu Jinyu was also very satisfied with Night Sorrow's decision. Then, Night Sorrow took out a small bag of top-grade crystal stones. There were about 150 of them. Steward Lin, I'll have to trouble you with this matter. Help me find a craftsman to deal with this. This is too much. I don't need it at all. With a glance, Steward Lin knew that Night Sorrow had taken out a lot more crystals. Baidu search AI go female sign shao say www.aichuxs.com, it's nothing. Steward Lin, please help me arrange for them to rebuild it better, Night Sorrow said with a smile. All right then. You don't have to worry about this matter at night. I'll arrange it later, Steward Lin said. Then let's go in and have a drink first. Night Sorrow said to Lu Jinyu and Manager Lin. Another day. This time, I still have some things to deal with. I have to go to Star Cloud Sect immediately. You know the situation there. There are a lot of things to deal with. Lu Jinyu said. That's fine. Next time, I'll treat Elder Lu to a drink. Night Sorrow understood that Lu Jinyu was indeed busy, so he didn't continue to insist. Then, Lu Jinyu and Manager Lin left. Night Sorrow, Yang Lei, and Sikong Chuyu continued shopping to buy alchemy materials and robes. Now that Yi Shan was rich, he bought a lot of materials and made several sets of robes. The Dongxian city was rich, and he was rich, he had to have crystal stones. After buying everything, the three of them bought some food before returning to the house. Yi Shang began to pack up the materials and then took out the alchemy furnace. The failure of the first batch of clear void pills was within Yi Shang's expectations. After summarizing the experience of failure, he continued to refine. After failing 3 times in a row, Night Sorrow stopped concocting pills because he kept failing while condensing the pills. He took out Feng Chen's pill concoction manual and read it again. Night Sorrow found the crux of the problem. When condensing a 5th-level pill, he needed to use his soul power to control the process. This was also the reason why 5th-level pills were difficult to concoct. After sorting out his emotions and calming down, Night Sorrow continued to concoct pills. This time, he successfully concocted the clear void pill as he wished. Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu took a look at the clear void pill and congratulated Night Sorrow. Love go little say W. Chu successfully concocting a 5th-level pill meant that Night Sorrow's pill concoction level had reached the level of a great pill concoction master. After chatting for a while, Yang Lei greeted Night Sorrow and went into seclusion. She wanted to break through to the 3rd level of the Void Inquiry stage. NA Update O soonest 8 dB with the help of the top-grade resources provided by Night Sorrow, Yang Lei had reached the peak of the 2nd level of the Void Inquiry stage for quite some time. She was now ready to make a breakthrough. Sikong Chuyu was also at the peak of the 2nd level of the Void Inquiry stage. However, she planned to stabilize her cultivation base first. Night Sorrow asked Sikong Chuyu to cultivate as well while he began his alchemy journey. In half a month's time, Night Sorrow had turned all the materials for the clear void pill into tier 5 clear void pills. There were over 200 bottles in total. This was definitely a heaven-defying amount of resources. In the various sects, there were almost no 5th-order supplementary medicinal pills. This was also the reason why there were many 5th-order cultivators but not many late 5th-order cultivators. Some of them were nurtured with the resources of their sects and families. The Clear Void Pill and Great Void Pill were the rewards for the unrestricted mission of the blood essence of ice spirits issued by the Tianji Tower. It could be seen how precious 5th-order medicinal pills were. In the Medicine Valley, it was already difficult to supply fourth-order medicinal pills, let alone fifth-order medicinal pills. After keeping the clear void pill, Night Sorrow began to concoct the great void pill. Night Sorrow was confident in concocting the clear void pill. However, he was not confident in concocting the great void pill because the great void pill was a mid-fifth order medicinal pill. It was much more difficult than the clear void pill. With a lot of materials in hand and feeling that his soul power had improved by a lot, Night Sorrow did not hesitate to continue concocting. With the help of his soul power, Night Sorrow was very lucky. He succeeded in concocting the great void pill on his first try. With the experience of success, Night Sorrow continued to concoct. At night, he cultivated his true chi, myriad Tao Tome, and soul power. During the day, he concocted medicinal pills. While Night Sorrow improved his cultivation, he also turned the materials of the great void pill into medicinal pills. When Night Sorrow put away the alchemy furnace, Steward Lin came. This was not the first time he had come. During this period, he often came because he was in charge of the demolition and reconstruction of the houses on both sides of the Tranquil Heart Villa. The expansion drawings were drawn by Sikong Chuyu. She changed the layout of the three houses. The small courtyard where the three of them lived did not change because the backyard was deeper. The construction and reconstruction in the front were not affected. The house on the left side of the Tranquil Heart Villa was completely rebuilt into a residence and a small garden. The larger area on the right side was transformed into a pure garden and a large martial arts practice field. Tomorrow, the three houses will be connected. After the connection is completed, the reconstruction here will be almost finished, Steward Lin said. I have to thank Steward Lin for this. If I was busy with it, I don't know how long it would take. Night Sorrow poured a cup of tea for Steward Lin and said, Let's have a simple meal here at noon. Yang Lei, who had successfully broken through and had eaten the void transformation pill which increased her cultivation base to the peak of the void inquiry stage after stabilizing her cultivation base, walked out and said, You don't have to be so polite. I still have some things to deal with. If you need anything, you can just inform me in the City Lord's mansion. Steward Lin cupped his fists at Night Sorrow and left. Currently, he was very concerned about Night Sorrow's work. He also had some reverence for him. The first time he helped Night Sorrow with something was arranged by Lei Hua. This time, it was arranged by Lu Zhenyu. As long as Steward Lin was not a fool, he would know that Night Sorrow's position in the City Lord's mansion was not as simple as a law enforcer. After the construction here, it won't be a house anymore. It will be a huge mansion. There aren't many mansions like this in Eastern Profound City. Yang Lei said with a smile. She was happy that Night Sorrow had such an achievement. Chuyu has been in seclusion for 2 days, but there is still no news from her. Night Sorrow said while looking at Sikong Chuyu's house. It's just a breakthrough. There is no need to worry, Yang Lei said. I know. Besides, I have concocted a lot of 5th grade pills during this period of time. Let's return to the Medicine Valley later and send the pills back to the sect. My senior martial brother and 6th senior martial sister need them, Night Sorrow said. All right. They will definitely be very happy, Yang Lei said. Chapter 430. Genius remembers love in 1 second. Go. We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Did you just realize that 9th senior sister is beautiful? Yang Lei said with a smile. I've always known. Night Sorrow took Yang Lei's hand and walked towards the main building. What are you doing? It's broad daylight. Yang Lei blushed. How could she not know what Night Sorrow was thinking? This has nothing to do with day or night. When they reached the entrance of the main building, Night Sorrow bent down and picked up Yang Lei. Yang Lei hugged Night Sorrow's neck and leaned her head on Night Sorrow's chest. After entering the bedroom, Night Sorrow put Yang Lei, who had just taken a shower and whose hair was still wet, on the bed. Then, he stripped Yang Lei, took off his clothes and pounced on her. You. Seeing Night Sorrow's change, Yang Lei's rosy face was full of shock. Hey. It's okay. Night Sorrow pressed on Yang Lei's body. How can it be okay? You're too scary. Yang Lei pushed Night Sorrow's chest and said. Chuyu is fine. Night Sorrow said and kissed Yang Lei's red lips at the same time. When Night Sorrow hugged her back to the room, she was aroused. Just now, she was just scared by Night Sorrow. Now, after being attacked by Night Sorrow, she immediately entered the zone. After a crazy toss, the two didn't rest until the afternoon sun shone in through the window. You don't care about senior sister at all. Yang Lei rolled her eyes at Night Sorrow and took her skirt to take a shower. After taking a shower, the two went to the courtyard and drank tea in the cool breeze. When are we going back to Medicine Valley? Yang Lei looked at Night Sorrow and asked. It's fine. There's no rush. Let's wait for Chuyu to finish her seclusion. She can go to Bamboo Forest Peak to stabilize her cultivation. I can also go to Danding Cliff to cultivate, Night Sorrow said. While the two of them were talking, Sikong Chuyu, who was wearing a light yellow silk dress, came out of the room and into the courtyard. Sikong Chuyu sat down and said, judging from the redness on your faces and the fact that you've just taken a shower, I knew you two were up to no good. Chuyu, we plan to go back to the Medicine Valley and deliver some medicinal pills to our senior brothers and sisters. Night Sorrow changed the topic. Sure. I also prefer the Bamboo Forest Peak and the Dragon Spring Courtyard. After I stabilize my cultivation there, eating the void pill is the same, Sikong Chuyu said. Alright, let's set off now. We'll rest at Bamboo Forest Peak tonight. Love go little say Night Sorrow said. Night Sorrow was a person who did what he said. He didn't like to drag things out. Sikong Chuyu and Yang Lei had no objections. Night Sorrow went to the front yard and greeted Ning Qingfeng. The house was still under construction, so he had to inform Ho Jian and the others when they arrived. After greeting Ning Qingfeng, the three of them rode on their flying demonic beasts and took off from Qingxin Cottage, flying toward the teleportation array. Their flying mounts attracted a lot of attention because their mounts were all top grade. Tianyu's body was snow white, and his beak and claws were glowing with a greenish gold light. Anyone who wasn't a fool would know that he was a demonic beast. Yang Lei's rank 5 black-feathered eagle was also very handsome. It should be known that rank 5 mounts were very rare. Sikong Chuyu's fire phoenix was very beautiful. At this time, its cultivation had reached rank 4, level 7. Chuyu, if your fire phoenix wants to advance, it needs an opportunity, Yang Lei said. Yes, it is now an adult. If there is no opportunity, it can only reach the peak of rank 4, Sikong Chuyu said. Love go little say ku, don't worry. As long as it's possible, there will be a chance, Night Sorrow said. You can count on Night Sorrow. I don't see anything he can't do, Yang Lei said after the three of them got off their mounts at the teleportation array. Night Sorrow only smiled. He could only try his best. He couldn't refuse. After paying the teleportation fee, the three of them were teleported to Danding City. Looking at the glittering golden flame palace, Night Sorrow and Yang Lei gave up on the idea of seeing Yu Yangyu. No one knew if Yu Yangyu was cultivating or not. The three of them walked around the city lord's mansion. Yang Lei asked about the situation symbolically, then rode her flying beast to Longquan Courtyard. After not seeing Aoi and the people from Taishan Peak at Longquan Courtyard, the three of them flew towards Danding Mountain. Soon, the three of them arrived at Taishan Peak. In the Taishan Palace, Night Sorrow saw Wu Qi and Huanan. Third senior brother. You're back too. Looking at Huanan, Night Sorrow greeted him happily. Golden Flame City is already on track. I didn't have anything to do, so I came back to take a look. I haven't been separated from my senior and junior brothers, so I missed them, Huanan said. Then we're all here. I'll send someone to call eldest senior brother over. Let's get together tonight. 13. Your cultivation speed is really shocking. Your senior brothers and sisters will be very happy to see you, Wu Qi said emotionally. He was at the peak of the spirit severing stage and was still refining his qi. Then, Wu Qi sent a disciple from Taishan Peak to inform the other senior and junior brothers. Then, the three of them walked towards the bamboo grove. Before they even arrived at the bamboo grove, they could already hear Qing Ji's tender roar, as well as the screams of other people. When they arrived, they saw what was going on. Aoi was teaching her and Yang Lei's disciples a lesson. Unavoidably, she was holding a rattan in her hand. Ninth junior sister, 13, Chu Yu, you're all back. Originally, I planned to call third senior brother over for a drink tonight. Now, I have to call the others over. Aoi raised her hand and threw the rattan to Shenrong, who was beaten up just now. Greetings, senior uncles. Shenrong, who was holding the rattan, brought the other junior brothers and sisters to greet them. Look at your 13th senior uncle. He's already at the void inquiry stage. 13, you've advanced to the void inquiry stage. After checking Night Sorrow's cultivation base, Aoi was stunned. She was now at the 8th level of the spirit severing stage. She could see Night Sorrow's cultivation base. I just broke through some time ago. Night Sorrow pulled Aoi to sit down and said. Among his senior brothers and sisters, other than Yang Lei, he was the closest to Aoi. You rascal. Every time we don't meet for a while, you'll scare your senior sister. Aoi looked at Night Sorrow and said. Senior sister, how have you been recently? Night Sorrow asked with a smile. What do you mean? None of these bastards are easy to deal with. They joined the sect 1 year after you, and 2 of them joined the sect at the same time as you. None of them can compare to you. Aoi said angrily. Master, if all of us can be compared to 13th senior uncle, then our Medicine Valley will unify the entire Eastern Profound region. Shenrong mumbled. You still dare to talk back? Aoi said and was about to teach Shenrong a lesson. 6th junior sister, Shenrong is right. They are indeed very hard-working. It's only right for them to set 13 as their goal. However, you can't use 13 standards against them. Gong Xian appeared in the bamboo grove with a smile. Eldest senior brother. Night Sorrow and the others bowed to greet him. Chapter 431. A genius remembers love in 1 second? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. It has been 2.5 years since I entered the sect. Yi Shan nodded. All right. Senior brother has nothing to say. Once everyone is here, we'll start drinking. How delightful. Gong Xian said with a smile. In just a short while, Night Sorrow's senior martial brothers had all arrived at the small building in the bamboo forest. When they saw Night Sorrow's cultivation base, all of them were extremely shocked. Well, there's no need to talk about how fast his cultivation base has improved. My senior martial brothers probably don't know about how 13 killed a void inquiry stage dark zombie all by himself. Yang Lei said with a smile. 13th hockey. Shi Tianlin gave Night Sorrow a thumbs up. Currently, Yu Yang Yu's disciples were progressing towards the void inquiry stage one after another. Gong Xian, Yang Lei, and Hua Nan had all entered the void inquiry stage. Currently, Mo Chen's cultivation base was at the 5th level of the spirit severing stage, followed by the 8th level of the spirit severing stage. Baidu search AI Go female sign Shao say www.aichuxs.com. I'll give everyone some more resources, Night Sorrow said. 13, senior brother and senior sister can't finish the resources you gave us last time. We don't need them anymore, Aoi said. Last time, I gave you tier 4 cultivation resources. This time, it's something else. After Night Sorrow finished speaking, he took out a portion of the clear void pills and great void pills he had refined. Aoi reached out and opened the pill bottle. After taking a look, she was stunned. It's a 5th grade clear void pill, and it's fresh out of the furnace. 35, they were all made by 13 recently. Yang Lei proudly hugged Night Sorrow's arm and said, "These 2 bottles contain clear void pills. There are exactly 3 pills for each person." Night Sorrow pointed at 2 of the bottles and said, 13, if you can concoct rank 5 pills, then you're an alchemy grandmaster. Aoi, who had been studying alchemy, said, "It doesn't matter if I'm a master or not. What's important is that senior brother and senior sister need the medicinal pills." "I can refine them," Night Sorrow said. Haha. After 13 entered the sect, everyone's luck turned for the better. There was no shortage of cultivation resources, and everyone's cultivation base rose in a straight line, Gong Xian said with a smile. After that, Wu Qi and the others distributed the clear void pills and void pills. "Here are 20 bottles of clear void pills. Eldest senior brother, you take them. When senior brother and senior sister need them, you can distribute them." Night Sorrow took out some more pills. 13, put it away. You need it too. Senior brother and senior sister only need some. Gong Xian said with a frown. He did not want to delay his own cultivation just because Night Sorrow wanted to help others. "Eldest senior brother, don't worry. I can concoct pills myself. I don't lack medicinal pills," Night Sorrow said with a shake of his head. "Alright, second junior brother, you take them. It's not suitable for me to take them. Why don't I distribute the resources to the others in the Medicine Valley?" Gong Xian said with a smile. "Sixth junior sister, you take them. It's not suitable for me and eldest senior brother to take these resources," Wu Qi said with a smile. "That's true. You are both people of status. One is responsible for all the disciples in the Medicine Valley, and the other is responsible for all the disciples in the Taishan Peak. However, 13's current resources are only for senior brother and senior sister," Hua Nan said. "All right. Then I'll take them. If you need them, come to me. I'll be your housekeeper," Aoi said with a smile. "Eldest senior brother, what's Master's situation now? Where is he?" Night Sorrow asked. Gong Xian then told him about Yu Yangyu's situation. Yu Yangyu had been staying in the Golden Flame Hall to cultivate. He had entered the Venerable Realm and had the help of the Golden Flame Hall, so he was currently improving his cultivation at full speed. Knowing that Yu Yangyu was improving his cultivation at full speed, Night Sorrow dismissed the idea of paying him a visit. After drinking together, Night Sorrow and the other 2 returned to the bamboo forest peak. "Ninth senior sister, Chuyu, I plan to go to Danding Cliff to cultivate for a while and improve my cultivation," Night Sorrow said after sitting in the courtyard of the bamboo forest peak and drinking a pot of tea. "Alright, go ahead. While I'm stabilizing my cultivation, Chuyu also needs to do the same. After that, she'll take the void level pill and cultivate," Yang Lei said. After that, Night Sorrow rode Tianyu to Danding Cliff. After sending Tianyu away, Night Sorrow bowed to Elder Su and began to climb the cliff. Seeing Night Sorrow climbing the cliff, Elder Su did not need anyone to report to him and directly returned to the Danding Palace. At this moment, Gong Xian, the Great Elder and Chu Ling Shao were talking in the Danding Palace. "Elder Su is here. Take a seat." The Great Elder waved his hand at Elder Su. Elder Su might be the weakest among the elders in the Medicine Valley, but he was definitely the most respected one because he had dedicated everything he had to the Medicine Valley. "Great Elder, do you know that 13 has advanced to the 5th rank Void Inquiry stage?" Elder Su asked excitedly. "We're just talking about it. Not only did he advance to the 5th rank, but he also concocted quite a number of 5th rank pills and distributed them to his senior martial brother and senior martial sister. This means that he's also a pill refinement master," the Great Elder said with a smile. "The sect must pay attention to this. We must. He's the hope of our Medicine Valley," Elder Su said excitedly. "Elder Su, don't be so excited. The main thing is, how can we pay attention to him? He doesn't want to be the young valley master even if we offered him the position. It's not like he lacks resources. The great elder said with a bitter smile. That's right. He really doesn't need anything. He has done too much for the Medicine Valley. From finding the sacred cauldron scripture to defeating the Golden Flame sect, every single one of his deeds is of great significance to the Medicine Valley. Finding the sacred cauldron scripture is equivalent to rebirth the Medicine Valley. Defeating the Golden Flame sect and allowing the Medicine Valley to stand tall in the Eastern Profound Domain. Elder Su said emotionally. Wait a moment. I'll go and ask Grand Elder Hua and the other Grand Elders for their opinions. This matter is giving me a headache too. The Great Elder said. Elder Su nodded and left the Pill Cauldron Hall. Night Sorrow directly rushed to 7,000 meters and continued climbing upwards. Normally, climbing from 7,000 meters to 7,100 meters should not be too stressful. However, that was not the case. Night Sorrow exhausted all his true chi, the energy of the myriad Tao Tome and the spiritual chi of the profound jade to reach the 7,100-meter platform. Sitting on the 7,100-meter platform, Night Sorrow began his cultivation. After cultivating for 5 days, Night Sorrow cultivated the energy of the myriad Tao Tome to the 7th level of the consolidation realm. While stabilizing the cultivation of the myriad Tao Tome, Night Sorrow cultivated his soul power and true chi. At the same time, the energy of his innate bloodline was constantly rushing towards the 4th energy point. Staying on the 7,100-meter platform, Night Sorrow began his daily cultivation. Time slipped away bit by bit. Night Sorrow cultivated for 1 month and only then did his true chi cultivation reach the peak 1st level of the void inquiry stage. The pressure of the 7,100-meter platform was not small. However, with the protection of the energy of the myriad Tao Tome, Night Sorrow began to break through on the spot. Since his true chi was abundant, it was not difficult for Night Sorrow to condense his true chi halo. After spending half a day, his true chi cultivation base reached the 2nd level of the void inquiry stage. After that, he stabilized his true chi cultivation base and continued cultivating the myriad Tao Tome and his soul power. Chapter 432. A Genius Remembers Love in 1 Second? We provide you with interesting novels to read. Night Sorrow did not continue climbing Danding Cliff. Riding on his Tianyu, he arrived at the North Pole Peak. Night Sorrow saw Qin Jin practicing swordsmanship in the valley where Yen Bebe was cultivating. Night Sorrow. When he saw Yi Shang, Qin Jin waved his hand and put away his long sword. He directly arrived in front of Yi Shang and punched Yi Shang's shoulder. What, Night Sorrow? Call him Martial Uncle. Yen Beiji came out and reprimanded Qin Jin. Martial Uncle Yen, Qin Jin and I are brothers. Let's not talk about other things, Night Sorrow said. That's right, Martial Uncle. I don't think Night Sorrow will care about these things, Qin Jin said. All right then. All right, you two can continue chatting. Yi Shang, you've made a big fuss. You've entered the 5th stage before the age of 20. Now, the Great Elder is looking for the Grand Elder and the Peak Lords to discuss your matter. You two can continue chatting. Yen Bei smiled and left the Colonel. Stage 5? Night Sorrow, you've entered Stage 5? Qin Jin looked at Night Sorrow in surprise. I just entered not long ago, Night Sorrow said as he took out a jar of wine. The distance between us is getting bigger and bigger. Qin Jin's face darkened. Your cultivation speed is already amazing. Take it slow. What's the rush? Night Sorrow said with a smile. I want to get closer to you as soon as possible so that I can train with you, but... Qin Jin said with a sigh. What does this have to do with cultivation? If you want to go out, we can go out together. However, the outside world is very dangerous. Most of the time, we're walking the line between life and death, Night Sorrow said. Really? I don't care about life and death. Life and death are predestined. Aren't cultivators supposed to fight against the heavens? Qin Zhen said with a smile. That's good. You can talk to Martial Uncle Yen later. If he agrees, you can go to the bamboo forest peak to look for me. I'll be returning to Dongxian City soon, Night Sorrow said. Alright then, I'll look for you later. The Qin Zhen was so excited that he gulped down the wine jug in one gulp. Night Sorrow gave the spirit congealing pills and meditation pills in the storage ring to Qin Zhen, and then drove Tianyu back to the bamboo forest peak. The second grade of the Void Inquiry stage. You're advancing 1 grade per month. Don't tell me you're planning to break through to the Venerable Realm within a year? Yang Lei said with a smile. Hee, ninth senior sister, stop joking around, Night Sorrow said with a chuckle. At this time, except for Yu Yang Yu, all the high-ranking officials of the Medicine Valley were present in the Pill Tripod Hall. Then, the Great Elder told them about Night Sorrow's situation. There has never been a Void Inquiry stage cultivator who is less than 20 years old in the history of cultivation. However, such a person has appeared in our Medicine Valley. Now, tell us about his arrangements. Hua Yunpeng said. The problem is that he isn't interested in the position of the young Valley Lord. What can we do? He has plenty of pills and resources. It can be said that we can't give him anything. Yen Beiji said. This is really a difficult problem to solve. Duan Lei of the Cloud Sea Peak said. A Void Inquiry stage cultivator is qualified to become an elder. However, he's only 20 years old. It's not suitable for him to be an elder. The Great Elder knocked his walking stick on the ground and said. Then we'll add another Vice Valley Lord. He doesn't need to be in charge of anything. He's the signboard that we want. Hua Yunpeng said. After that, everyone passed. Night Sorrow became the third Vice Valley Lord of the Medicine Valley. Of course, Night Sorrow was still unaware of it. This guy is really troublesome. While he solved the problem of our Medicine Valley, he also gave us a difficult problem. The Great Elder said with a smile. Although it's a difficult problem, I feel that the more such problems there are, the better. Duan Lei said with a smile. While Night Sorrow was drinking tea and chatting with the two women, Hua Yunpeng and the Great Elder arrived. When they arrived, they directly placed a token in front of Night Sorrow. What kind of token is this? Yang Lei took the token and took a look at it. After taking a look at it, Yang Lei was stunned because there was a golden medicinal cauldron on the token. The token of a Vice Valley Lord? It's the token of a Vice Valley Lord. 13. The sect can't give you anything. This is your token in the Medicine Valley. Hua Yunpeng said. Look at Section B of Chapter M of the FS version. Supreme Elder, Great Elder, this is not appropriate. I don't have time to manage anything. Hurry up and take back the order. Night Sorrow said with a bow. It's too late. Your eldest senior brother and senior brother Chu have already informed all the disciples of the Medicine Valley. Almost all the disciples of the Medicine Valley probably know about this. If you refuse, it will be a slap in the face to me and the Supreme Elder. The Great Elder said with a smile as he took the tea that Sikong Chuyu brewed. Disciple can only accept the order, but I really don't have time to manage this matter. Night Sorrow said. There are some things that everyone knows. No one arranged for you to do anything. In the future, you can do whatever you want. Just know that the Medicine Valley is your home. Hua Yunpeng nodded and said. While they were talking, Qin Zhen arrived at the bamboo forest peak on his tiger eagle. Kid, why are you here? The Great Elder looked at Qin Zhen and asked. Disciple has asked Grandmaster. I want to follow Martial Uncle Yi to explore the world. Qin Zhen bowed to Hua Yunpeng and the Great Elder and said his decision. Good. You and Night Sorrow are the most outstanding disciples in the history of the Medicine Valley. Your path is indeed outside. I won't stop you. The Great Elder nodded and said. After chatting for a while, Hua Yunpeng and the Great Elder left. While Night Sorrow was resting in the Medicine Valley, people from the Eastern Xian region headquarters came again. It was the headquarters supervisor, Lan Yuxuan, and 2 other men. Chief Enforcer Yin Shui, is Night Sorrow here? After arriving at the headquarters of the Tianji Tower, Lan Yuxuan directly asked about Night Sorrow's situation. Some time ago, after Night Sorrow had entered the Fifth Order, the Eastern Xian region's Tianjin Tower had reported his situation to the headquarters. If he passed the examination, then Night Sorrow's Heaven's Fate test would officially end. He should have returned to the Medicine Valley. Yin Shui said. We'll have to trouble Chief Enforcer Yin Shui to take us there. The other supervisor said. I can't leave the Tianji Tower yet. The situation in the Eastern Xian region is complicated. I have to stay here. Yin Shui said. What's wrong? What's the problem? Lan Yuxuan asked. Yin Shui then explained the recent situation in the Eastern Xian region. It's really serious. You should tell the headquarters about this. We'll bring some people over. Lan Yuxuan said. Don't worry. It's still under Master K's control. Yin Shui said. How about this? Chief Enforcer Yin Shui, send someone to inform Night Sorrow to return. We'll also go to the dark space to take a look. This isn't a small matter. The headquarters should know about the Tianji Tower in the Eastern Xian region. Lan Yuxuan said. All right, I'll arrange for someone to call him over. Yin Shui said, you're tuning into the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.